When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Arc, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Greg Wilson, the host of this channel and totally the person who owns everything that you see behind you here. I am so happy to welcome you today to Esper Genesis. Did you notice my new hat? I got a new hat. Yeah, right? Looks slick on me. Way better than like on any other person this could possibly belong to. Okay, I'm gonna come on in, Greg. Okay, all right. Poor Greg.
I'll never hear the end of it.
I know, but look at my hair now. Wait, okay, here we go.
Look, it's true, chat. It's true. I was replaced. But only for a moment. So welcome everybody. Hi all. Lovely to see all of you people. We want the other one. You'll get the other one. You'll get more of Carlos. I understand. You'll get the star. It's fine. All the stars that we're going to have in just a moment. It's good to Manigan's like, wait, lol. Like, who is this? It's good to see you all. I hope everyone's doing well and is looking forward to some awesomeness with Esper Genesis, the return of Esper Genesis, and I have a big announcement tonight that I'm going to be making in just a minute. Before I do that, though, a couple of reminders, ways to support the stream. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. That is always a great thing to do. Please check out the YouTube with !ArvTube. Thank you for subscribing over there. A number of you have done that over the last couple of weeks. Please keep it up because if I can get to 1,000 subscribers over on that channel, it gives me flexibility with with what I can do vis-a-vis YouTube and Twitch. So please do that. It's free for you, but it definitely helps me out. So thank you. Exclamation point Arvcord is the Discord channel. You can join 235 plus of your closest friends and relatives, maybe, who are all hanging out in Discord. Exclamation point Arvcord for that. Exclamation point Arv Tweets is my Twitter. You can follow me over there for information about stuff like when the channel's going live and so on. And then, of course, the website, arvaneleron.com. Financially, exclamation point Arv Shop for merchandise. I keep saying this, but very soon we're going to be adding in Esper Genesis stuff like this, Esper Genesis Crucible Core, and more stuff coming down the pike related to this announcement that I'm going to make coming up soon. Exclamation point Arv Treon is that Patreon right there that allows me to have this. Carlos now can confirm. He's sitting in the room. It exists.
It does.
There's light and stuff, and there's light panels.
This is
and
a
like,
place.
It's not just, I don't green screen this.
Right.
Like it's,
These things have matter. They have mass.
they do exist. Yeah. I have a spot right there for where Negocios is going to go. Negocios Infernalis is right over there. So, so anyway, the Patreon really helps out and also is good stuff for the channel. You get inspirations to help the players too. So please support that with exclamation point Arvtran. Please sub to the channel. That is really appreciated. And if you haven't already done so, publishing wise, exclamation point Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel, exclamation point Library for Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley that is going to be out in print in just a couple of weeks for non-Kickstarter backers. A lot of game stores have already said they've already had orders sell out of this before they hit the shelves, which is really great. I'm super excited about that. So please tell your friends and distant relations about this because that's a big deal. And both of those will be working on my Greyshade Kickstarter and more details about that to come. Exclamation point Greyshade KS there. And as always, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter. Very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. And exclamation point Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. As you can tell, we're in a little bit of a different environment here because I happen to have Zach Clay here. No, I'm just kidding. I happen to have Carlos Hernandez. Carlos and Claire, CSE Cooney, Carlos's wife, have both come. We had a great time earlier today making pizza and talking about a bunch of stuff. And I gave them the tour of the house. And like tomorrow, we're going to do more things. Outside is going to be like bitter cold, but we're going to see what we can do. We're also, it is Carlos's birthday. I'm going to say more about this in a minute, but we're going to wish Carlos a happy birthday today. And also Carlos has got a cake coming his way tomorrow. Yeah. And we may be playing some kind of game tomorrow night that I may or may not stream. We'll see how that all goes. But anyway, so Carlos is here visiting, which is super exciting. And we have everybody back. Now, the only person we don't have so far, thank you, Garlic Tofu, for the sub. I appreciate that. 18-month sub. Thank you, Garlic. I appreciate that. Yeah. So Zach Clay is joining us, but he's joining us a little later. He has a paid gig that he's doing first. He will be joining us, though. He will be here, so fear not. Zach Clay, you will get your Zach Clay. Zach is coming up. It's been actually 2 months since we played Esper Genesis because we had a hell of a 6 weeks, this crew. But we're here and we are ready to do this for you. But I have a big announcement to make, and for that, I want to bring in these folks. So I am going to unmute myself and Carlos, and I'm going to unmute them. And last, I'm going to head over to reveal the crew in front of you. And now you get to see Carlos on his own cam. And you get to see all of these lovely people. And as I said, Zach will be joining
We do?
Yeah, well, listen, they are all back. It was quite a holiday season. I'll let them say whatever they want to say. But regardless, it was difficult for all of us. But we all made it through, and we're back here together. And before I go any further, I do want to make one big announcement, which is related to these folks and to Esper Genesis. So many of you will know that we supported on this channel the Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks Kickstarter run by Alligator Alley. This is a new 5e adventure that is the spiritual sequel to a module that I have sitting back there in that group called Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, which came out back in the 80s. It is such a great module. So we love this, and it was done by Rich Lescouflair is the one who designed this, and of course I love the guys over at Alligator Alley, quite obviously. So I've been talking to them about the Greyshade work that they're going to be doing for me, about which more details later. But while we were having this discussion, I also said, listen, Esper Genesis has been running for a number of years, and they're up to level 9 now, closing in on level 10, and the Shadow of the Zephyr campaign is starting to wind down, is coming to the end. But I love these players. I love this crew. My impression is that they love this game and each other, and I didn't want to stop playing, and I also thought that there were some other opportunities there. So I am happy to announce, official announcement tonight, chat, that the Shadow of the Zephyr campaign will be concluding at ArvCon this May. But before you become too despondent, let me tell you that in June, possibly at Origins actually, we will be launching the Pioneer flagship campaign of Expedition to the Mysterious Peaks by Alligator Alley. So this crew, sponsored again by Alligator Alley, will be going forward in the same universe. And there's more in that these characters they're playing are in the same universe as the ones they will be taking on. I'm not going to say if they're going to meet them or not, but they will be there will be a connection there with them. Moreover, two of these people, I don't know which two because they haven't decided yet, are going to be doing fantastic style characters, more traditional D&D-ish characters, while two of them will be doing Esper Genesis characters that meet each other in this adventure and work together. Super excited about that. So we will be bringing Shadow of the Zephyr to a close, but as one door closes, another opens, and we'll be moving forward with Expedition from the Barrier Peaks. So I could not be more excited about it, and that's the big announcement. It is the second big announcement regarding this channel in about a week, so very excited about that, and it's going to be great. So with all that information out there, I will start with the person right next to me because otherwise it's going to feel really strange. And that's Carlos, who's literally physically sitting next to me. Carlos, my friend, it's good to see you. It's been a good day today. Happy birthday.
Yeah!
Happy birthday to
me.
Happy birthday to Carlos. How does it feel to be 21 now? And
Oh my God.
how does it feel to be 21?
I am so wasted.
And all that.
Woo!
Is that how it felt? I just want to know.
I mean,
It's a
21
window.
was so long ago. Even if I hadn't been drinking, I wouldn't remember it. So.
How are you doing otherwise, Carlos, and who are you playing today?
Well, so I got Omicron. I did. Through very little fault of my own, I would like to say for the record, but I did get Omicron, and it took me out for a little bit, but bouncing back pretty well so far. Knock on Formica or whatever.
Yeah, that'll work. Fake wood.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So doing well right now. Lots of exciting stuff going on. I was just on a writing retreat with Claire, my wife, and we got some really good work done. I am able to announce that besides working on novels and stuff, Claire and I are working with Hit Point Press to start to develop the Fool's Gold campaign. I can't really say much more about that because I will get,
DMCA.
NDA'd
Yeah,
into the
NDA.
Stone Age. But
I mean, NDA, not DMCA.
Right.
DMCA,
I
that
will
too.
get Run DMC next week.
Walk this way.
But it's really exciting work, and we're having a ton of fun with it. I just cannot wait till I'm allowed to say things. Yeah, but the same great folks that did like Humblewood, they did a $2.4 million Kickstarter for their Fool's Gold campaign, and so it's like they're a really
They're
cool
Canadian, so
Yeah.
obviously they're
Right.
obviously good.
Oh, but just like, terrific stuff coming that way. So really excited about that. And yeah, we've got, Claire and I, the short story that we wrote together last year that appeared in Mermaids Monthly is going to be in one of the year's best. So we just got that announcement a few days ago, and really happy about that too. So if you want to read one of those stories, it's called A Minnow, or perhaps a Colossal Squid. So if you Google that, it's the only hit. Like exactly one hit comes up, and it's that hit.
Literally the only hit, huh?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Good. I'm feeling so much better these days. Very glad to have been vaccinated as much as I can, and can't wait to get even more vaccinated over the next coming weeks.
And they
months.
both of them tested again before they came into the house. So we have unless it's passing through the light bar, I think we're fairly,
I mean, we swirly till we swirled no more, and we are okie dokie.
Yeah.
So that's me.
That's awesome. I'm very happy to have Carlos
Oh my
here.
God,
Super
they showed me
exciting.
such a good time here today, and more tomorrow. So I don't know. Like I think if we can convince Little Arv or Arv Junior, Little Arv,
Mini Arv.
Mini
is
Arv,
right, yeah.
Mini Arv might be my wife Claire's first dungeon master tomorrow.
Oh no, you mean my daughter? Sorry,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Little Arv.
That's
That is Little Arv.
Okay,
Yeah.
So Little Arv might be dungeon mastering Claire tomorrow. We're really, I mean, I feel like I've been slowly moving Claire towards the dark side of role playing games.
Now the time has come.
And now, I'm
Take your place at my side.
I'm using a child to basically break her final back here and make a role play. So anyway, Doing great. Hello, everybody. Good to see you, chat.
It is great to see Carlos, and Carlos was a force of nature. Both of them were, but I mean, with my son, who just thought that Carlos was the funniest thing of all time. It was really great to see. It was delightful. So, very excited to have Carlos with us. Also excited to have back here, and I mean genuinely, both Kat and Johnny. I'll start with Johnny because I know Johnny. It's been. Woo! But you're here. We are here. It is very good to see you, my friend. How are you doing? How's life in the universe with you now? And who are you playing and all that good stuff?
Did Carlos say who he was playing? I didn't hear him.
Oh,
did
you did you?
Oh no! So I'm gonna be playing Aramis, and Johnny's just gonna watch.
Sir, not appearing in this picture.
I hear you have to pay for that in certain parts of the city. So.
I am playing Ludicrous Sleepwell, engineer, healer extraordinaire, and sassy mouth cat boy.
Sassy mouth cat boy. I am coming to you from a secretly undisclosed location in rural Virginia, doing top secret government work. That's the story, right? Like Carlos, I had a wonderful extra visitor in my life over the holiday season. I also caught COVID, so I've not fared as well, but I'm doing okay and supposedly on the mend. Otherwise, it's been a quiet time, and I've been catching up on just about every TV show that I've missed. So there are positives to the whole experience, and probably some news coming up in my life very soon, but I'm not ready to quite talk about it yet. I will be playing Aramis. Sadly, Carlos will not be playing Aramis, which I would love to actually see because I think that would be absolutely hilarious. I'm an Ashen Forge Melder. I'm sorry, what was that, Carlos?
Yeah, like the whole thing is like some kind of weird Benny Hill, like everyone plays everybody else, and just like
yakety sack the whole episode long.
That Esper Genesis thing was fine. Then it just came into jokes, and they just would jump the shark, and
only if you've got sound bites where you play the Benny Hill music like every time something really ridiculous happens. Will I ever do that?
Yeah.
And so that's me.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Johnny. Seriously, I was very happy to hear from Johnny today. So I'm glad that Johnny. I'm sorry that he's dealing with everything, but I'm glad that he's back in some capacity and hopefully can forget about things and focus on world of space and the land beyond. Good to see Johnny. Also wonderful as always to see Cat Rambo with as you can see, is now in outer space. So that's where we are. And I do want to very quickly give a shout out. I have been reading. I want to read more of it quicker, but my life has been busy as all hell. But I have been reading You Sexy Thing, and it is just as good as advertised. It is thoroughly delightful. Of course, it's like the thing is, you go into it, if it's Cat Rambo writing it, it's going to be a spectacularly well written, but it's just delightfully funny and just really enjoyable. And I don't know, I think it's been great so far, and I am looking forward to more of reading it and being able to rave about it some more. So that's part of what I've been doing on my winter vacation, as they say. Kat, how are you? How's life with you and everything, and who are you playing and all that stuff?
Well, I am super stoked when people say something like that. So like right now, I'm just giddy, and I'm so happy that people have been enjoying the book, and I've been cranking away on book 3. So I'm having lots of fun with it. I'm happy to be playing again. Tonight, I am running Petrosinus and Ashen Forged Sentinel with a very large hammer and a mysterious affinity for complex machinery.
Yes, more of which will be explored over the next few months as time goes on. Yes, agree entirely. Garlic Cat's characters are always so alive. Yeah, it's great. Listen, you don't get read by LeVar Burton unless that's right. This is how that happens. So and we were here for that and saw it. It was great. Anyway, wonderful pleasure to have all these folks with us again. For those who missed the very beginning, Zach Clay will be joining us in about 40 minutes. So he will be here. And at that point, I will let him introduce himself. But right now, we are going to talk a little bit about what happened. We're going to slide over here. And we're going to talk about what... So Carlos, who's not here for the last one, Carlos is like, all right, so we just we were in the base, right? And I was like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that happened after that. So let me throw some, what do we want to do for this? Let's put Yeah, let's put some weirder things on. Let me make sure everyone can hear. There we go. Now, chat, you're going to have to tell me I'm playing with the benefit of speakers, not with headphones this time because Carlos is here. So, can you hear okay? Like, can everybody in chat hear us and also hear the audio from computer okay? From Roll20. You can do that on your, yeah. So, check 1, check 2. What say you, chat? How's it sound? How we doing? You can hear it all. Gigafrost, yeah. Okay, cool. Also, Shadow Mage came in during the middle of this, and I said thank you, but I think he just came in and left again. Thank you for the resub, Shadow Mage. I appreciate it. Okay, cool. Thank you, Matt, again. Welcome, everybody. Oh, there we go, Shadow. I have notes. Lovely. All right. So here's what... I don't know if I can summarize all of this. It's too much. Let me sum up. I'll do the best I can. So, in our last session, you may have remembered that the session before that, the party had defeated the evil Laris Baladin and thwarted his plot to bring vengeance upon many members of the galaxy by leveraging his power with the Shadow Technocracy and by creating a new advanced kind of being. The party was able to not only defeat him, but also was then able to basically destroy much of the Shadow Technocracy's base, which was known as Stormdark.
They're saying that the music could be a little.
Oh, it could be a little lower. Yeah, thank you, Dunso. That's exactly what I was hoping for. It's going to be a little low for us, just so you know.
Okay.
Because
that's
like,
fine.
okay, is that better, chat? Yeah, Carlos versus music. Also, Johnny and Kat seem very loud. Well, we'll deal with the that I can address with Carlos. But is the music better? Let me know, chat. How's that better? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. 1, 2. Buckle my shoe. Yeah, good. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Dunst. I appreciate it. Thank you. So, so the party had managed to get through. Okay, good. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So the party had managed to defeat Laris Baladin and so forth. However, there was a problem because as they were about to leave the base, the Drake, which had been piloting his ship, was obliterated by what appeared to be a second Hyperlance, apparently. And the other Hyperlance came down, basically threatened the people in the base, and it all looked like it was a real problem. And that was the cliffhanger that Carlos last knew. What happened in our last session is that as it was revealed, the second Hyperlance was being run by the Long Winter, which had finally tracked down the other Long Winter. Remember that the party in the distant past had basically almost defeated the Long Winter, but had basically split into more or less the sane, I hate to use this terminology, but the parts that were more rational and the parts that were more, at least allegedly, irrational. And the irrational side, as the saying goes, just wanted to see the world burn, or so it appeared, the galaxy burn. And so it had been seeking out and trying to track down the Long Winter, the code for which had basically been hiding within Cosmeritis, within Zach's character's suit. And so the party found itself with a problem because here was the actual Long Winter, the bad Long Winter that had tracked them down. So the party managed to convince the Long Winter to basically have a parley, if you will. And the party then retreated into the mind, or the programming, I suppose, of Kaz's suit and meeting with the Long Winter. What ensued was a long encounter which took place on what looked very much like a big soccer field that you might see outside a school, like a high school. And the Long Winter that was with Zach ended up looking very sort of quiet and sad and presented itself as a child, and was joined by another child, which, as it turned out, was the other Long Winter. This interaction ended up being between the two of them, and Kaz, at least initially, and then the others, tried to represent the best that he possibly could, and more or less sort of reasoned things out, and found that what the Long Winter, the bad Long Winter, was most frightened of was whatever lay beyond this, that the Long Winter felt that it had been left alone, it had been abandoned, that it had been sort of cast out and separated and isolated on purpose. And through an extended metaphor that involved the use of a roller coaster, Both the Long Winter, the old one and the new one, were eventually convinced by Kaz, by Petra, and by Aramis, and by Sleepwell, who was very thoughtful and very quiet so much this episode, like sort of taking it all in, like, yeah, very much was a. They ended up taking this roller coaster ride, the end of which extended beyond the fence and just sort of goes off with both of the Long Winters holding hands as children as they went over and then out beyond the fence. That was the end of this moment. Okay, cool. That's awesome, Shadow. And so when they came back, the Long Winter has departed Kaz's suit. Oh. The bad Long Winter has apparently been resolved, apparently has decided it is not going to attack anymore because it has been integrated into the other Long Winter from what you can tell. And so now you were back on the ship, and the last vision that we got as the ship was taking off to head back towards Pel Saros was the two creatures from down below in the base that you had helped coming out and like tilting their heads and looking as the ship was taking off.
Oh, hey, all right.
Yeah.
So they made it.
So as we pick up now, everyone is on the ship heading back towards Pel Saros. You're about maybe 1 to 2 days out before you get back to Pel Saros. They have been able to restore their hit points, and oh, by the way, they are all now level 9. So at level 9, before we go further, I need to ask the members of this intrepid crew what they've gained in this time. So I will start with the gentleman on my left just because that's where the row appears. I'll jump over to the cams only for this. Aramis, what amazing things have you gained at the power of level 9 now that you've reached that level?
Do you really think I've had this?
You should tell me everything. Okay, I understand you may not have.
No. I was just gonna say, I don't even remember us actually getting the level, so that was news to me. I will get you that information shortly, but I will be taking the average on the hit points, just so you know.
Okay, so that means that you were at 49. So
I believe the average is 4 or 5. So I will give you that information privately in just a second. But yeah,
sounds good, and then we will see what they have. Yeah, don't forget the con bonus as well. All right, while Aramis is finding out more about that, I will ask Petra next about what awesomeness has been added to her hammer or to other things related thereof.
Well, I, for the first time, now have access to level 3 tech slots. So I am super stoked about that. One of which is the Optimize power, where I can administer a vitality booster to any number of creatures I choose that sees within range, and it will help with saving throws. Nice. So lots more stuff there.
Add advantage on wisdom saving throws and death saving throws, and regains the maximum number of hit points possible from any healing. So there's a real synergy there with Sleepwell, where it's just like, he's like, I feel sick, and you're just like, really optimized, and Sleepwell's like, healing. Yeah. So, fortunately, I have several juggernauts for you to fight. I'm just kidding. It'll be fine. There's no space juggernauts in your future at all, I'm sure.
None at all. None whatsoever.
So you have access to third level stuff. Anything else cool from the Sentinel, Petra?
Yeah, I have that Optimize is one of the new abilities because of the path of the Sentinel. And the other one is Unravel Effect. And the Unravel Effect will let her remove Esper effects that she wants to remove.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, very cool. That's going to be neat.
I'll message you the hit points because
Sounds good.
Also don't have.
Sounds good.
All right.
Good stuff. And last but certainly not least for the moment until Kaz shows up, and I have no doubt Zach has figured all this out and has all of this information at his fingertips. I'm sure that's the case. So Carlos, what have new cool things have Sleepwell now created?
Yeah, like level 9 doesn't do a lot, but what it does really, really well. So I gained access to rank 5 Esper powers. And so I have immediately taken Mass Mend because I know the group that I travel with. So Mass Mending will be happening massively and
mendingly all the time. Yes. Mass mend is basically like a mass heal or mass healing word. Send a group of medical drones. 6 creatures regain hit points equal to 3d8 plus your forging ability modifier. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I assume that you'll be sending out drones now that are just like epic destroy drone or something, like create epic destroying.
Like I said, it's like they're kind of the same, but they have been epically destroying things in the past, and I expect them to continue that performance.
You actually have gone to the other side, so now it's actually come all the way around, so you lose power now from all the way down. It's like you have less light in the day now. You're going to have less.
UDM, Chuck's chin, really hard.
As we've proven, you can just play me anyway. So,
Right.
just be like,
Oh yeah.
so you automatically win. The galaxy is
Yeah.
yours. You own Sorium. You have it in your hand.
That's right. You are sorry.
You are Sorium. Oh man, you are Esper Genesis.
That's
Congratulations, you win. Okay, so cool. So that's good stuff. And then we will find out what Kaz has. I have no doubt that it'll be like Kaz can, assassinate someone on another planet, like from the moon. Just like shoot from a distance. And we'll see. Because you win the game, right, Amanda? Because that's the point of why we play these is to win. Like is to beat me. That's the goal. Okay, so lovely. That is what's going on with the crew. But the other thing, of course, now the party has to think about, and this is what I want to place before the crew. You have multiple loose ends that were still left that I want to put out there that I will just mention very quickly. You can pursue any or none of these as you like. I won't talk about the last main aspect of plot that's coming up at some point, you'll see. But in the meantime, you have Aramis's quest with the Matakai. You have Sleepwell's questions about sister and father. You have Petra's question about the computer stuff, which has become clearer, but not as completely, the case utterly overall, and is trying to track down Tizora for more information still about her own origins. And I'll let Kaz speak for himself when he gets there. So there are multiple things the party could do if it wishes, and you're heading back towards Pelsaros anyway. So with that said, what would the party like to do?
I am immediately going to run over to Alfred, who is now safe to activate since there is no more
Yep.
long winter to worry about.
Yep.
So I immediately, I had kind of like a sleepy couple of days, feeling a little cloudy, but suddenly I'm like, Alfred! And I just like tear to
Okay.
the middle of the lab and just flip the switch.
Okay.
How you doing, buddy?
So he's kind of like, when you flip the switch, let me go make sure. Okay, good. Want to make sure I had the right patch. So when you flip the switch, must destroy self thing, and then he kind of blinks, or I should say stares, I guess, more accurately. And I am in the Hyperlance.
You sure are. How you feeling?
Different.
That's good, because, the last time you were activated, you were being invaded by a parasitical and homicidal AI. That's gone now.
I am not sure how to explain. Feels different. Should I seek out and destroy the invader?
Nah, no invaders, first of all. No, that confusion that you're feeling right now, that's what all living things feel like all the time. Welcome to existentialism. We'll get to that later. In the meantime, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make you happy. We're just gonna let you live life and enjoy it. You are actually free.
Is okay, quick question, chat. Is that better now? I think now it's not going to have the effect. Go ahead and speak a little more, Carlos, quickly.
Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl.
Is that better? Okay. Yeah, I turned on the FX on him. Sorry about that.
Wait, we turned off the effects?
No, just for you.
Yeah,
You're not
I
a
hate
robot.
that.
Also hi, Rocco.
Sleep well, destroy.
Sleep well. Be a little
I
bug.
like murder.
So he says, So
They-
so Alfred kind of looks up and then, so did we win?
You know? Yeah. We kind of won, and I mean, sleep well. This is really sinking in. It's like months of just like being in a fog or lifting, and suddenly, the impact of what's happened is really hitting him, and he's like, yeah, I actually think we did kind of the impossible and rid the Soul Rain Arc of this predatory AI that seemed like it was going to be indestructible. We did it, and we did it not only for ourselves, but also for you. Like, I've been fighting for you this whole time. We kept you sedated, basically, inactive, so that we could return to you in a moment like this, and now it's here, buddy.
And from behind you, you hear, is this also Alfred? And your Alfred kind of looks up and then, why is there another Alfred? And if you turn, you can see that the other Alfred,
So that Alfred made it? Like, I guess I missed that dude. Okay.
yeah, the other Alfred made it and is sort of like, now, actually, wait, let me before I go on, actually, I need to remember. I'm actually going to play with the player, to ask other players here. I don't remember whether or not you saved him or not. I don't remember if he went or not. Oh, thank you for the, oh my goodness. And then that's probably because when he's using it, if he's speaking in here, you might hear it that way, Shadowed. Thank you for the gift sub, again, Rising Ties, being super generous to gifting the sub to Leia Reek. Thank you very much. So now I'm starting to doubt myself, and I'm wondering whether he made it or not. I don't remember.
Wait, who are we specifically talking about now?
We're talking about the other Alfred, the one that had
That was in the bay that we were communicating with, that we lost communication with for a while.
No, we actually pulled his chip.
That's
Yeah.
right. You pulled
Remember?
his chip. I knew that. Okay,
Right.
right. So sorry. So never mind what I said. I just remember that you had his chip. I take it back. Sorry, forget that. You don't have any voice. Never mind. I apologize. You do have it. You do have his chip.
So do I have his chip?
Yeah, I would assume.
All right.
Well,
This other
okay.
Alfred, so this other Alfred did not say that you didn't hear a voice. Sorry.
All right.
So yeah, it was Sleepo was given the opportunity to go and actually grab the chip while we were trying to figure out what else was actually happening.
Yeah, that's right. I remember. My bad. Okay. So, so then so it's just the one Alfred who's just like, so we win, and you said that, and he's like, so what happens now?
Now we get to live our lives a little more free. And when I pull out the chip, I have a present for you.
And he kind of,
So in here is not only another Alfred, someone, a created living creature like yourself. Not only does it have an Alfred in here, but it should have some memories and some remnants of your creator. So you'll understand better than a lot of folk ever get to where you come from. End of the chip.
and it kind of, another Alfred.
Well, think of it as sort of like a sibling, the same way that, humanoids can have brothers and sisters, sometimes even twins who greatly resemble them. These are also people that were created by your progenitor. But it's also like a little bit of your progenitor too. So like you've got a whole history of yourself in that chip that you can learn a lot from, and it might help you find your way through the world a little more.
That, thank you.
Hey, buddy. No need to thank me. I am so glad to have you back. This feels like what we did mattered. You matter, and giving you your life back. I know we failed in some ways, and we haven't always done the right thing, but this is right.
And you notice he's continuing to like look at the chip and kind of hold it up and look at it, and then kind of look at his own hand, and sort of as if he's kind of making some strange visual comparison between these things. And he just kind of listens quietly. There's always been something a little bit about this Alfred, because this was obviously, changed and mutated and morphed and around. That's a little odd about him. And so he finally looks and says, "Will I not be here anymore with this?"
Oh, I think you get to decide, A, if you ever want to use it. Like, that's up to you. B, how you want to use it. We can stick it in a computer, see what's on there, let you read code directly and, take a look at what's there. And then, if you feel like you want it to be a part of your life, you can choose. The choices are yours.
Thank you. I would like to go up to the bridge and see others now.
Let's go.
See, his voice as he's talking is starting to get a little smoother. There's still a lot of halt in it, but it's almost as if like lag, buffer is starting to fill in a little bit. And so he kind of gets up and begins to follow you out of the bed. Well, I assume, unless if you're leading him, you can do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with
So in the meantime, while he's doing that, Aramis and Petra, so this is a couple of days. So we'll say that was a little bit of a flashback. Sleepo would have done that as soon as you were aware that the long winter was down. So what I will ask is, as you're taking your trip back to Pelseros, which is probably about, I think we said, a week's journey, and it seems like you're in no particular rush now. I mean, you're heading back there, but it's not like you have to get there immediately. So over the course of time, what are all of you, I'm just sort of moving you this way, as you're heading up here, what are all of you doing? Aramis, what's your focus? And then I'm going to ask Petra the same thing. And I'll come to Sleepo last.
Aramis is going to first get some sleep.
Okay.
And then he's going to start paying attention to the news feeds, getting a sense of what has changed, if anything, based on the sort of the moving on of the long winter. Like, are we seeing anything like politically happening? Are we seeing anything happening like sort of culturally? Are we seeing anything happening from various governments? Is there some dramatic element in the corporate world that across the Silmarine arc that has shifted significantly?
I'm going to ask you to make an investigation check for me, please.
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask for that. Darn it. Hold on just a second. Let me pull up my character sheet. Investigation check.
It'll show up on here. Actually, I'll put up cams only and you'll be able to see it here.
All right, here we go.
Although I'll have to adjust it because it depends on when it was. There you go.
Yeah, I'll just take that.
Seems like a plan. Okay, so there are a few things that you notice, Aramis, that are of interest, I think. The first is that there's no obvious, everything's different, and there's no, D-Day, V-Day, right? Like there's no, success and people celebrating in Times Square or the equivalent. Something you would know because of your interest in 20th century. So instead, Aramis, what there is a gradual, I think the way you would describe it is a lessening of tension. And everywhere you look across the news feeds, from places like Silrain Prime over to Peltiveria. In Peltiveria, you hear that some of the tensions that had begun to build between some of the workers and some of the people there, that same thing which was reflected as well in the Bastion, that has now begun to shift. There are more rights that are starting to be granted, talks that have been opened with workers there who have decided to unite together for common purpose, and there's enough now popular will to put pressure on that. You've noticed that in other areas, specifically looking at places like some of the space bases that you've been to and things like that, that there is also a decrease in reported tensions between groups. You notice that the Larathi have sort of dialed it back a notch. Maybe who knows how long that's going to be, but the sort of Lauren Jaw seems calmer now than it might have been in the past. There is just a general sense that there is less tension that you get, and that may be because from what you can tell, the news feeds that were pushing a series of sort of clickbaity style type things have become considerably less prominent. There just seem to be fewer stories coming out filled with misinformation and uncertainty and doubt and leading people the wrong way. And so, for what that's worth, that seems to be the case for you. The other thing, though, that seems a little odd to you is that although all of what I've described is the case, that there does seem to be sort of a lessening of tensions, you've also noted that there is discussion of, there is talk of some group or organization that has become more visible. Basically, there's several news reports about authorities following up on what appears to be a larger criminal conspiracy in their midst type of thing. And you hear this thing about multiple arrests being made in several places like Peltiveria, among others, which suggests that it sounds to you like someone's starting to do a roll-up operation and gather a bunch of people together. Information that would not have been available to them before, but a lot of the news feed that you're seeing are things about like new evidence that's come to light and, information that's come to them. And the information that's come to them, I mean, it's not just, now we can do things because nothing's stopping us. Some information seems to have been provided to some of these news organizations that wasn't there even a week ago. And the authorities in some of these places are moving quickly as a result.
Is there a name or any type of reference of association for this criminal organization?
It is different in each case. In fact, they're being very cautious in the news stories not to sort of, but there's obviously rampant speculation that there's all kinds of things that are possible. And they keep making reference to a group. Some people call it a special forces group. Some people specify that it's some kind of secret agency. Some people say that it's something that's been sent out from Peltiveria. Some people say that it's like a double head fake, that the Lorendi have sent out like a special forces group to kind of make everything seem fine and then it won't be. But all of the references that they make track to you on many of the places that your group has ended up from spot to spot. There are no names associated with you, but there's definitely information regarding things seem to be happening wherever you end up in terms of news reports.
Okay. I have one final question, I think. Is there any indication of in the fallouts or all the news organizations and there's all this like reporting on crime and stuff, is there any indication in the financial markets that things are shifting to the point that there is sort of a dramatic reallocation of assets that might indicate sort of like the last remnants of the shadow technocracy?
Yeah, I would
trying to sort of basically circle the wagons.
Right. I would say not dramatic. There is clearly, however, financial reallocation that is happening, yes. Now, part of this may be the fact that in general, the mood of the Silrain arc as a whole seems to be improving. There seems to be kind of this sense that a pall has lifted. So that obviously is good for business, less movement towards war. Like I said, the Lorendi have kind of dialed back a lot of their more bellicose statements and so forth. So that may be part of it, but it seems more than that to you, that there is a general sense of money going, there is a sort of general shifting, gradual, but a general and clear trend of shifting assets. it would take you a while, unless you did nothing but this, to see exactly where those assets are going, and you'd probably have to make another check. I don't think one check can do all that. But it's clear that the money is definitely changing hands. I mentioned a lot of emphasis more on the working classes, much more than the money holding classes, for whatever that's worth.
Can I ask just a quick question about just like stuff? Is Bliss with us?
Yes.
So
Bliss
she's on the
Larkham,
ship?
Bliss Larkham is with you, and Bliss Larkham was saved. That one you did rescue. And so you're gradually returning her. Now, eventually she has to go back to the Bastion, presumably, but right now, you're taking her to Pelsaros because you all said that you thought that was the safest place for you to end up and kind of plan whatever your next move was going to be.
So, Johnny, I don't want to interfere with your thing, but does Johnny hear about Bliss? Because she's a super duper star and everything?
Yes, that's true, actually. Yes, the information that's been given is that Bliss Larkham is still missing, but that there are now suggestions that this may be part of some publicity stunt. That like she's setting this all up to kind of be like, haha, and then like reemerge, and like rebranding. So there are rumors, that Bliss is now rebranding herself. Some people suggest that she's now going to rename herself like Bless is one of the big ones that they're talking about. Just a single name, no last name at all, just a one name star.
Blessney Spear.
Yes, and somebody has actually put together like the whole, the praying hands, like blessed, #blessed with this as like the new
God.
identity. So there's that.
So Aramis isn't going to pursue any more sort of like in-depth stuff. The 20 was pushing my luck as it was. But yeah, he's going to continue to gather information. That's basically going to be the major focus of what he's going to do on the way back. And his goal will be, when we get back to Pelsaros, will be to go find Abraxas.
Okay. That sounds good. Petra, what about you? How are you spending the time on the ship as you head back?
I am doing a couple things, and one of them is I am going over the ship and just sort of doing maintenance and checks and making sure that the Hyperlance is running as clean and efficiently as possible and kind of staving off any disasters.
Okay.
That is part of Petra's kind of coming to terms with her new powers, because she's ramped up. She's got this new technological stuff, like kind of various machinery things.
Yep.
I'm going to mention this, and we can either leave it or not. I was thinking about this the other day. Am I wrong in thinking that we had a dog at one point that we just sort of abandoned in play? And so is the dog just sort of wandering around? Because if so, I'm going to at least feed the goddamn dog.
Well, the dog is on the ship, but as I recall, this is a mechanical dog, I thought, right?
Oh, is it a mechanical dog?
Yeah, so
okay.
I think that you don't need to worry about the feeding of it, but no, the dog is on the ship and is very, happy to be hanging out with all of you.
I was not clear on the mechanical nature of the dog, and now I feel much less worried about this non-existent creature.
Yes.
Is it a
the
Daggett?
Other thing is
it
what?
Is it a Daggett?
Probably.
Sorry, I just had to go for that reference.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And the other thing that Petra will do is occasionally just sort of check the computer banks looking for anything about Tesora that might have popped up.
Okay.
But that's the main focus there. Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Okay, 2 checks I'd like you to make related to this then, Petra. First is I'd like you to make a mechanics check for me as you're looking through the ship.
Since this is like something that she would have been doing over time, can sequel assist?
Sure, if she wants you to and if you're willing to.
Sure. Happy to have.
Yeah, so for mechanics, I'll say this is +2, not an advantage, but I'll say this is +2. Yeah, #Dagger.
I have lost my roll 20 thing and was trying to say this in chat, so I'm just absolutely amused why the command roll was not working. So let's try to.
Hey everybody, it's Greg Wilson back with you here, and I just want to
Okay,
tell
I
you
think
that Carlos Hernandez is the best player I've ever had a chance to work with. Ye gods, is that guy great?
Hey, we're back, Okay.
So I might have broken the
lose
ship.
50 hit points.
Oh, by the way, I have 8 hit points added. So
Okay.
'cause yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're at 78 out of 78.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so sorry, Petra. What are we looking? Oh my goodness.
So this seemed like a really good idea when I was thinking about it, but a roll of a natural 1 may not have made this the smartest thing I've ever done.
Boom.
Yeah. So you. So as you're going through, and you're kind of trying to figure, like see how the ship is running. The ship seems fine, Petra, but there are moments where you're just like, something feels weird, not bad, but something feels different about the ship. But the hell if you know why. You go down, you talk to Rona about it. Rona's kind of like, you may remember that in our last session, Rona's not here right now. Like Rona's had a hard time like getting through all of this and is very much like, I don't know what your problem, like what is the deal? And you also have, of course, Bliss Angel and also, Bliss Larkham and also Aricia Angel is here too. Remember that you found at the same time, I believe, right? We found Aricia down there with Bliss, I believe. So you're sort of, as you're looking around, you don't know, there's nothing you can put your finger on, but there's something different clearly about the engine and how the Hyperlance is running in terms of its engine. You don't know what, though, Petra. You can certainly ask other people about it if you like, but that's what you find yourself.
Well, is Sleepwell wandering around with me? Because if so, I'll ask him. Like, are you getting this weird vibe off the ship? The things seem strange to you?
I think, I'm a cat of science. I think the vibes is purely your department.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, seems to be running great.
Okay.
It's a great line. I'm a cat of science. So, okay. I would also like you to make a computer check for me, please, Petra. This is in regards to your trying to gather information about... Oh, remind me again what you're gathering information about. About Tesora?
Tesora.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Please. Oh my God! I'm just really terribly.
Oh man, poor Petra. So, you're like, how do you spell her name? No, it's not that bad. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No. So the information. So what you're able to gather here, and this has been part of the frustration that you've been dealing with Tesora for a while, is that, as you know, Tesora is, when Tesora doesn't want to be found. She doesn't want to be found. What's frustrating is that you tracked her quite a long way, tracked her quite a long way, sort of narrowed down the possibilities. And then the trail goes cold somewhere around the time that you visited Stormfall. Storm Dark. The Storm Dark base. There's just like a certain stage where you can't track where her movements are. It's not clear to you that she ever came to that base, but the trail that you have kind of dead ends there, which suggests to you, Petra, she didn't just drop off the map and suddenly blow up in space, right? Like, first of all, that doesn't happen, and
right.
Secondly, it wouldn't happen to her. But at some point, something caused her to either spook and kind of bail out before she was found, or she disconnected and went off the grid in some particular way, right around the time and place of that base. Whether she was at the base or not is unclear, but the sort of speed with which her trail disappears is quite unusual and does not suggest that she just left. There's more than that going
on. Okay. Well, that's what I do.
Okay. And then we have Kaz. We'll figure that out when Kaz actually arrives. Speaking of which, let me just double check because it is supposed to be about 10:20. This is... Oh, wait. Don't look at that. Sorry. Okay. All right. Sorry, let me just switch something up.
This place is full of traps. So many places.
Okay, you're good.
Eyes.
You're good. Sorry about that. Okay. Exactly, Reno. The ship's allergic to Petra, going to regurgitate the player's next subspace jump. Hyperland says to stop at a Pepto station. Okay. So, as you are all kind of gathered around now, about maybe about, let's say, a day out.
Wait, but I get to do stuff, right? Because actually the number of days matter.
Oh, yes. Because I hadn't come back to you yet. Yeah, go ahead, sleep well.
So
Yes.
the first thing I have to remake all the constructs that look
Right.
like all of us. So
Okay.
I can run about 4.
Does Aramis have a head now?
Yes, Aramis's head has
Oh.
been restored, and he's looking quite dashing, actually.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So an exact replica.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
My finest work.
Yes.
So that takes 4 days. So over
Okay.
the course of 4 days, I have to keep
Can do that.
making one, and then I can
Can do that.
basically use one slot at rank 4
Can do that.
to be able to do that. And then, of course, I'm going to be running full diagnostics on Alfred
Yes.
just to see how exactly he's doing and coming to
Okay.
grip.
So to this point, so Alfred is not yet put in the chip, and just so you know, and as you run the diagnostics, Alfred is actually make a computers check for me.
You get to see it. So everybody, I'm rolling real dice today. I'm
Real,
rolling-
actually, what kind of dice?
Yeah, so the die I grabbed, this is a D20. Let me hold it up. This is the Rick Riordan Presents die that I had custom made for everybody who helped with us raising money when Rick Riordan and so many of the Rick Riordan Presents authors got together. So this is what a 20 looks like on the Rick Riordan die. So this is what I'm rolling to see my computers check, which, as you can see, I'm proficient.
Yes, I do. So
So I
2
have
plus
my-
your proficiency, so
Right.
6.
And I'm throwing this die
this,
away.
this die sucks. Rick Riordan's dice
Just-
suck, and they
yeah,
suck.
Yeah, I regret ever making it. I rolled a 5, so total of 11.
So a total of 11. So it's not awful. What you're able to determine from that is that so Alfred does seem to be running at pretty good efficiency. There seems to be clearly no malicious code in the platform. You notice over time that Alfred is becoming, as I mentioned, that lag buffer. He's becoming smoother, and is sort of speaking more normally. So instead of this halting thing, is beginning to speak more normally. And speaking of more normally, I see someone who's going to be joining us. Speaking more normally, and that is something which is something you might be a little bit surprised about, because it's sort of verbally reflecting what is otherwise, being reflected in what you look at. And then Alfred is going to ask you something else, but before that, we are going to reveal. I'm going to go back to cams only here. You will notice that we're a little bit off here for just a moment, and that's because
I have ruined everything. Yes. Ah!
It is the return. Let's see. Let me get him on screen. It's the return. Go down like that. No, not that guy. Let me go like this. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna move this over here. I'm gonna do this, then move this over here. Hey, there we go. It's
There we
Zach
go.
Clay.
Hey, who's
Zach
that?
Clay has returned.
I have returned.
Zach is back. What is up, Zach? It's good to see you.
Yes, it is.
I will tell you more about where everyone is, but before I do that,
Yeah, I'll catch on.
we had a chance to sort of, introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about. It's been a hell of a 6 weeks for people, over the last couple of months for everybody. And so, how you doing, man? Now that we have just about the full crew, the full regular crew back, how are you managing, and who are you playing, all that stuff?
I'm doing pretty good. Very, very busy, but this is the last thing that I have to do. Sometimes when you have a very busy schedule, and even though you continue to have a very busy schedule, there's like 1 or 2 things that you're like, okay, once I'm past this, I'll be good.
Right.
And I am now in the point where I'm like chill. I'm very happy to be here. How I'm doing is my one of the jobs that I got late last year was running games of D&D professionally. So we get people from corporations or like private groups that hire a professional DM. And I literally 1 minute ago just finished a professional D&D game that I just DM'd and finished. And that was what I was like, okay, once I get through this, once I do a good job DMing, now I can shoot stuff with my big sniper. I'm all good. So I'm doing great and very happy to be here. And
Awesome.
curious to see if anyone what's going on with the inflatable bed, all the really important stuff in Esper Genesis.
That's right.
So yeah.
This is called Esper Genesis, the bed. So it's the that's not.
Yeah.
This is called Esper Genesis Aftermath, and I recapped for everybody, but you were here for all of that, so I won't bother to recap all of it, except to say that you were traveling back to Pelseros. I do want to mention that you are level 9, so if you could tell me exactly what happened to your character, it'd be great. Tell me everything. I could already see the glare of the computer screen.
Hold on.
Like, click, click, click. Like, so.
I just opened. Wait, we were already level 9, right?
He's actually right.
You were already level 9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
we
mean
were giving you a hard time about level 9?
Did you just give us?
When did you get to level 9 though?
Like a
couple sessions ago.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
No, seriously,
We're
dude.
not. I know we normally
Fucking with you this time, honestly.
Yeah.
So I
know that we usually do best with you, but
I didn't just level you. So in other words, you didn't just level up after this past thing.
Nope.
And what was the past thing? Can I get like a mini recap?
Sure. This was the you were leaving the base, and the second hyperland showed up, run by the Long Winter. You went into the sort of the cyberverse, whatever.
Oh yeah, the roller coaster. Yes.
The roller coaster, and
that was so good.
So
yeah.
So if that's true, then you folks are now level 10.
You know what? That does make sense because I've been looking forward to the jury rig, which is the level 10 power.
It would be level 10 then, yeah.
Okay.
So my bad.
Great.
So yeah, you were all telling me like, oh, I don't know what's different.
Exactly.
Like, okay, now something's different. So all of you will now be excited to be looking for level 10 stuff. So yes, now you were level 10.
Okay.
It's not over 9,000. Well, sort of. Also, I made the announcement, Zach, today that the Shadow of the Zephyr campaign is wrapping up as of ArvCon in May, and then we are launching with in June with the new expedition from the Barrier Peaks by Alligator Alley, which is set in the Esper Genesis world, and that the characters, your characters now, may or may not have connections down the road with the characters that you create for that new campaign, but that 2 of you will be doing so-called fantastical characters, 2 of you will be doing more science fiction-y Esper Genesis style characters. And I will also say one last note, just because I think it's cool, that this will take place, at least at the beginning, on the same planet where my Forbidden Library is set. So the same city where the Forbidden Library is found is on that same planet, which I think is cool, but I mean, that's just me geeking out about it, so whatever. So,
great.
So yeah, I just wanted to let that know. But first, you have Shadow of the Zephyr to finish up campaign. And we, just so you're caught up on what happened today, I mentioned to everybody that there were a couple of loose ends. There is a one last plot point thing, which is going on, I can't talk about yet. As far as you know, the Long Winter has now been taken care of. Sleepwell immediately fired up the Alfred on board this ship, sort of to tell him, hey, the good news, you're no longer infected, etc. The Alfred said that it felt different, was very halting at first. Sleepwell gave Alfred the chip from the Alfred you had been with, the one that had the personality of the creator within it. And this Alfred has not yet implemented that chip, he just sort of has had it with him. And I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later on today. And let's see, Aramis has been looking at the news feeds for information about stuff and has found that tensions in the Silrain Arc are easing. There are also now criminal investigations happening into sort of simultaneously because of new information that has been provided by someone to authorities on places like the Bastion, Peltiveria, and so on. And that also there has been reference to some group, some phantom shadowy group that seems to be going around. Some people think that it's a special forces thing from the Lorendi. Some people think that it's like a bunch of mercenaries. But anyway, a group of people, and everywhere the group of people go, there have been like these things, positive things happening. And it does seem to correspond directly to the places you all have been going, even though there are never any names that are used to reference you specifically. So there's that. Meanwhile, Petra has been trying to gather information, about the Hyperlance, assisted by Sleepwell, discovered that the Hyperlance seems great. There's something weird about it, but seems great, and that was what the natural one gave Petra on that roll. And then also wanted to gather information about Tezora, and found only that the trail for Tezora has dead-ended right around where the base was, where Stormdark was. And so that doesn't mean that Tezora's gone. It means that something has happened that means Tezora's just dropped off the grid. And that suggests that she'll, surface at the worst possible time, probably. But that's what we know from that.
Yeah.
And the last thing was Sleepwell was just about to talk a little bit about stuff that Sleepwell is doing, which started with the recreation of drones, that the ones that look like all of you. You'll be happy to know Aramis now has a head. Again, the Aramis drone has a head. So there's that.
Happy.
So, yeah, Sleepwell's going to tell me what else happened, and then I'm going to come to you, Kaz, and ask what has been happening over the week that you've been traveling back towards Pelseros. So, but Sleepwell, what else were you going to tell me?
Yeah, so basically I was doing a diagnostic on Alfred.
Oh, yes, the diagnostic on Alfred. That's right. And the diagnostic on Alfred basically revealed that Alfred is running smoother and smoother, more capable of managing things, is speaking more smoothly as well, and has been almost sort of learning, even if you haven't been teaching them about the environment around them.
Oh, but I've
It's
also
very much
been-
like walking. I'm sure you haven't, but it's almost like watching a child and fast forward.
Yeah, and I'm trying to help every step of the way.
Okay.
Just like giving them space when they want it, but also being there whenever they want.
Okay.
Answers and information.
Okay.
And I'm not pushing about the chip or anything. Don't even bring it up. Just giving Alfred a chance to grow.
Okay. So that's what they have been doing, which leads me to you, Kaz. During the week or so that you're in transit back towards Pelseros, and on the ship with you, remember, Rona and the crew, Bliss Larkham, who you rescued, and also Aricia Angel, who was with Bliss Larkham. So Bliss Larkham, remember, was kind of unconscious and in rough shape, but was not dead. You did manage to revive her. Yeah. The only thing is that you took the chip out of the new Alfred, whatever, the Alfred that had come with you down to the planet. And that's the chip that this Alfred on the ship, the old Alfred, currently is holding on to, but has not yet implemented.
Kaz would go to check in with the medical bay,
Okay.
assuming that that's where Sleepwell would be. It's just going to make rounds. Just going to kind of go around.
Okay. Let's head ourselves over to the Hyperlance. Okay. So, are you in the medical bay, Sleepwell?
Yeah, like I suppose that's where I spend a lot of my time. Yeah.
Okay. Hanging out with Alfred and Kaz. There
Mhm.
you are.
I think you still need to move us over to the
Oh, beg your
Hyperlens.
pardon. Yep, sorry.
Thank
There
you.
go.
What do I see Sleepwell doing when I enter the room?
What do you see? What does he see?
So basically, you see me testing Alfred's motor skills by playing patty cake, which is on the surface very dangerous because he has these massive, Kanasi claws sticking out of him.
Oh,
But since he's getting better and better, I'm feeling better and better about, Baker's man. You're doing great, buddy.
playing patty cake with a robot that has blades for hands. Love it.
Exactly what we're doing.
As the door shifts open, Kaz says, "I would have expected nothing less."
And so just so you know, like my attitude has been buoyant ever since we escaped the base because it's like
Don't forget your mic.
not only were we able to succeed in our mission thanks largely to you, but also Alfred's back and I was able to activate him, and so I feel like I've done like an actual good thing. And so
Mhm.
you've never seen Sleepwell looking this happy, this kind of like boyish,
Yeah. Beg your pardon. I'm getting.
Yeah.
Johnny's camera was messed up on this screen. My apologies.
And
getting that fixed.
It's
Oh,
I'm
yes,
not
still playing.
available.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not
Pro
captured
streamer
correctly.
here. Very, very pro streamer. Don't try this at home.
I say to Sleepwell, it's you're making some progress, huh?
Alfred's doing all the hard stuff. Aren't you, buddy? Aren't you, buddy? Yeah, you're doing great. Yeah, me. I'm just happy to help.
You know, do you think you might start like a business of like automaton therapy?
Business? Maybe not, but like devote my life to it as a vocation? Maybe. Like, you know, I think my mentor, Sleepwell, would really like that.
Now that the long winter is gone and we don't have to worry about the shadow technocracy for now, Sleepwell, did you want to do anything about your home or your father?
And so at this point, Sleepwell, you know, he's hemming and hawing, and he just kind of like sits next to Alfred. I don't know if I get to play Alfred at the same time, but I'm imagining.
Oh, if you want me to, I can.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
guys
kinda
have.
like
I mean, you're side by side. You have to.
Yeah. So, you know, I kind of like lean on Alfred's shoulder as I need a shoulder to cry on now, and Alfred, obviously, I turn to, and I'm just sort of like, oh, it is such. I am so divided. It is such a hard question. On the one hand, he was coming to take me home and force me to live a life that I didn't want to, and I will never do that to you, Alfred. That is exactly what we fought against, and you remain a whole and complete being because I'm not my dad. On the other hand, if I could help him, I feel it might be unethical not to, given everything else I've been talking about. Like, he is now an automaton who has been taken over by a foreign technology that has changed his personality. This is a feline rights violation of the highest degree. And
It would seem that we're experts now at solving that. Wouldn't you say?
Now it's like, I know, right?
And Alfred kind of looks around and then says, "What has?" And again, his voice is much smoother now. What has happened to him now that the technocracy is gone, or at least not in control? What has happened? Would he collapse? And he does not have autonomous functions as I do, does he?
It's hard to know. We only had one encounter with him, but you bring up an excellent point, Alfred. Maybe he's collapsed somewhere and able to rise. Maybe he's free and he's back to pursuing me and wanting to bring me back to Valna. I actually don't know.
You do not think he feels different as I did and changed?
Not everyone is as evolved as you are, Alfred. And,
Alfred kind of has his usual, like...
right. His instant stare.
Yeah.
It's true, Alfred.
Yeah, not everyone has your emotional intelligence, and I guess the first step would be to try and find my sister somehow. But I guess, and so now I'm looking right at you, Kaz, and I'm like, we can send messages again, right? We're not. Wait, how undercover are? This isn't the damn question. How undercover are we right now?
You didn't tell me. I mean, at the moment, the sense was... I mean, I believe it was Rona who said that she was not sure that you could be sure, and neither did Aricia know whether the Shadow Technocracy was just destroyed. Like, you destroyed their base and you took out Laris Baladin, which means you made a serious blow. But there was no absolute guarantee that you had, like, obliterated, the organization.
Right.
That said, I don't know how, you might have felt like just we need a break, we need relief, So you didn't tell me you were being super stealthy about it, but It's up to you,
so
really.
I'm like, so Kaz, do you think I could try to send a subspace signal to my sister and try to reach out to her and maybe
Yeah.
pick up the trail of Dad if we want to?
I mean, you don't need my permission, but I think it would be good. I would imagine at around this point that the technocracy is scrambling, whatever's left of them.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're not totally gone, this is the right time to strike, right? And like he's getting like this cagey
Yeah.
look about him. It's like, yeah.
I don't even know where we would find
Say
them.
again?
I don't even know where we would find their remnants. We cleared the base,
Right. Well, I'm
right?
hoping...
Or were there still knights left? We never really met. Oh, our friend Z, was it? She didn't she say she killed some of them?
She did.
I think she made reference to clean up what's left on the base.
Right.
That doesn't
Oh.
mean anything relative to anything else, though,
So then,
necessarily.
I mean, I think the first step would be I'd contact my sister, see if she has any leads, because I'm assuming she's been following him all this time, possibly, when we lost contact at Bastion. I'll check with the others just to make sure we're all in agreement. We are, a team.
Yeah.
We have a very important passenger that we need to get to safety, and I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that, but it would be good to know at least. It would be good to know.
We're going back to Pelseros to deliver Bliss to safety.
I think we were doing that as a waypoint because eventually she has to get back to Bastion, contract
Oh,
operations.
yes.
But I think that was
Oh,
going to be our first waypoint.
okay. And then that leads us back to Aramis's thing, doesn't it?
We have to help him.
I suppose we'll cross that star bridge when we get to it.
No, we have to help him. That
yes.
was gonna go on his own. He is not going on his
Oh,
own.
I see you're digging into Matakai curses now. Interesting.
Well, I've been listening to you when you've been doing that trio lingo thing that you've been practicing to learn
Yeah,
Matakai.
yeah.
Well, I retained all the cuss words, so.
hmm They're pretty, it's you would think it's kind of interesting that the easiest words to pick up for a non-native speaker are the curse words, Anyway.
That's actually like Sleepwell laughing, and he's like laughing, hoping. It's like, wow, yeah, ain't that the way?
Okay. Well, I felt like I kind of went dormant there for a little bit. Needed to check in with someone.
Yeah,
That's
I
all.
felt like that too, but I feel alive now.
Yeah.
I also understand the feeling of being dormant
Oh, but
for
Mhm.
a while.
you more than anybody. But we're
Uh,
back now. High five.
They'd be like, hi,
Oh.
unfortunately, high fives, like,
Dismembered hand.
high fives, and it's the end of Sleepwell. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
our
yeah.
show. And he kind of he says, I have a question for Cosmeritis and Sleepwell.
Yeah, anything.
I think I can help now with this ship. I am programmed to run it, and I think I can do it better than anyone.
I mean,
I don't know. Well, actually, yes. Maybe talk to Petra
Yeah.
about that.
We'll talk to the rest of the crew, especially our captain, Petra, who everyone knows is our captain.
Yeah, she's the
And,
captain.
Captain Petra is definitely a captain. I have that in my banks.
Right. When you
And then
say
it's
her,
official.
We say captain at least 3 times.
Very,
Mhm.
yes, I have that listed, that captain is what a captain is. And it is
Oh,
Petra. in
oh,
my
captain, my
banks
captain.
next
Excellent. So, let's all go see Captain Sinus.
And so,
Ooh.
okay.
Captain Sinis.
Captain Sinis. Okay, so.
Your Alfred meter is still on.
Oh, that is because I choose it. No. No. Okay, that's better. Okay, so the two of you, in this case, I will or the three of you, I should say, head out and up, and find, I would say, perhaps now, Aramis, you don't have to be in the bridge if you don't want to. I'm going to assume for the purposes of this, that we've got Rona in the bridge, but also Petra. You can or cannot be there as you choose, Aramis. Like, that's up to you. If you would be elsewhere, you could be that way.
Bridge is just as good as a place as anybody, or any place, excuse me, to do research.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
So then we're going to place them like this. Oh, hold on. Am I getting...
Quick, Carlos, take over.
You are the DM. Sit in the chair.
So
Do it.
you all just gained a level for that
Oh
interaction?
yes. Oh my
Hit
God.
points? Oh,
Carlos,
wait,
I don't know if it's the
so-
chair or the glasses and the sweater, but we need to see you DM like
Oh.
for real on the channel.
Yes.
Carlos is the
seriously.
captain
Love
now.
to DM for
Yes.
you all. I would love to DM for you all. Everyone gets advantage every roll.
Yes, but so do the enemies. No.
Oh man,
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I seriously, there are parts here that I'm not supposed to be looking at, so I'm just gonna actually keep my hand up so I don't glance over. You know, he's got like 3 monitors set up, and on the right hand
Wow.
side, there's like the DM monitor of ultimate secrets. You
Ooh.
know, so like,
Oh dear.
there's some great stuff over here that I have like.
You realize
like,
what a
avoided.
prime position you are in right now for the group, Carlos.
I
We've
know.
talked about this for years.
I know, and now I can finally do what we've always talked about, and I can lick everything. I
Yes.
can just go through and just like
Totally.
spit all over the keyboard. You know.
Yeah. Well, actually, to be honest, if we were going to role play with each other, we could actually probably still do it right now. I mean, we don't know.
Oh my god! So, and he's got all these dials. So like, I really do want to switch them. So like, what do I sound like now? Did I do a thing?
No.
Damn it! All right.
Like, are you changing your own voice? Well,
Well,
we
yeah,
wanna-
it's
I
that
did change my
microphone.
own voice a little bit to give it a little boost. But, all right, hold on. Wait, what about now? Hi, everybody.
That's not. That's not the
doing
mixer.
it.
That's you.
Hi. Oh, I'm Greg. Look, I'm switching all the dials, and I sound really cool now. This is really impressive. Carlos could never just. Okay. Everybody, remember me.
Remember me.
As I look at my dials to be like, somehow you've been converted into a,
Yep.
it's the thing from the black hole.
You seriously should check those. I did twist some things.
I turned you up here.
That's great.
Games. I think that's fine. Okay. Off the rails. This train is in low orbit. Yeah. Okay. So where were we? So we were
So moving
Entering the bridge.
right. We went towards the bridge. Right. So yes. So Aramis is there. Petra is there then. And that would bring, and Rona is back here, just sort of doing a little bit of work over there. And we have the 3 of you. So what?
So
Yeah.
Petra is trying to convince Aramis about the weird vibe.
Okay.
And it is like, I can't pinpoint it, but something. There's no other word for it, Aramis. There's something weird going on, and I don't know what it is.
What do you mean weird?
It's just not working quite the way it should. Like, usually the ship kind of hums, and now it's more of like a rather than a Does that make sense?
I mean, okay, so yeah, I mean, I get sort of the vibe, but I mean, this is something that we probably should have expected. The Alfreds were all attached to their whatever network the Long Winter was. The ship, was supposed to work with the Alfreds in some way, shape, or form. So the lack of the Long Winter may have had some sort of like impact mean, Sleepwell's the one who would probably be able to explain the science better, but there's probably something that we're missing here. There's some signal, there's some broadcast, there's some network that it's probably no longer connected to, and maybe it's alone. Because we did just destroy its sister ship.
Okay, so at this point, I would say that they walk in, and not that one, just these three. They walk in.
Great news, everyone! It seems that Alfred feels ready to take over the role he was created for and pilot the ship.
I am prepared.
What?
I mean, you know better than I, since you're the ones who explained it to me. The Alfreds were created to pilot the ship, right? Now, long winter is gone. I have been working for several days with Alfred on improving all of his skills. Listen to him speak. Alfred, would you recite that poem we've been working on?
I wandered lonely as a cloud, and sorry I could not be one traveler, and travel both. I shall compare thee to a summer's day.
Sleepwell clears a tear.
I have learned
Shock.
much. I also can play patty cake, and I am now capable of understanding the meaning of the term irony, and can be ironic without pretending that I am, as was the case with the 20th century pop song that Aramis enjoys listening to.
That's a bit ironic.
Yeah,
That is...
Don't you
he's
think?
ready. He's ready.
So this was like, I mean, you see the leaps and bounds they've made, right?
Where were you thinking that Alfred would pilot us to?
Oh, I mean, Alfred, you would be in communication with us. You'd be listening to us. Basically, what we'd do is we'd make you the pilot, but you'd be listening to the captain for your orders. Does that make sense to you?
I believe that is reasonable and what I would expect. That is
Hold on. Hold on. Sorry, Sleepball.
You gotta keep
First.
the two separated. Come on, Jeff.
What are you speaking of?
Agency, Alfred's agency question aside, and following directions versus following orders versus making his own choices aside. Now that's a conversation that we can have. This connecting Alfred to the ship to do what he was supposed to do needs to be put on the brakes for just a second. Patrick, you need to tell them what you just told me. This is, I mean, there's no coincidence.
So Sleepwell, do you remember when I was saying things just don't feel quite right?
Yeah, you had some woo-woo things going on. I remember that.
We think it's connected to Alfred.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Connected to me.
You think the hyperlens is connected to Alfred, or that the problem
I think
is
the
connected?
change, the
Okay.
problem, yes, the change.
Is the ship
Well-
in danger?
No, not yet.
What we were just talking about was the fact that the change, the Alfreds were designed to work, or are part of the program for the long winter, right? The long winter communicated across vast distances and networked the Alfreds in ways that I'm not clear I understand. And Sleepwell, and you're probably the person who's going to be able to understand this the easiest, or figure it out the easiest out of all of us. Those Alfreds are no longer connected to the network. Alfred was designed to pilot this ship, and the ship may no longer be connected. Maybe it was connected in some way that we didn't understand. So there's a number of variables here at which we are no longer operating in the same way that we once thought we understood. So making any drastic changes like plugging Alfred into the ship seems like a really, really questionable idea right now.
Premature. actually makes a lot of sense, Aramis. And I'm assuming you fall over dead with, Sleeple agreeing with you like that. But Sleeple turns to Alfred and says, Alfred, normally you are connected to other Alfreds, you're connected to a larger network, and that's how you would pilot the Hyperlance. You said you felt ready to pilot the Hyperlance.
That is correct.
How would you pilot the Hyperlance without that connection to other Alfreds or a big network?
And kind of looks. But I am connected to other Alfreds now.
What?
Oh.
For several days since you turned me back on. I have been in contact with them. They are in contact with me. And we are ready.
For what?
We are ready. We are. Oh.
What are you ready for?
It is our function to help with the ship and to pilot the Hyperlance and to go to the place where the Hyperlance was intended to go.
Where's that?
And kind of looks around and then seems kind of like, I don't really know. There is a connection we all made, and our programming says that the ship will bring us, that we will access a place. And a little bit of his old hesitation comes in, just in the sense that he's trying to process it.
Right.
I know only that the Hyperlance is the way, the door, the portal. And he looks at and you see for the first time, you see for the first time that he's holding up the key that you gave him, the chip. And he says, this may be the key to it all. There is more than just the Silrain Arc. You taught me there is more in heaven and earth than dreamt of in your philosophy.
More poetry, yeah.
And that is connected here. There are places to be contacted.
So you're
And he's still holding his
right.
chip.
So you're speaking in the passive voice right now, which worries me because to be contacted by whom, when the whom is really the important matter, is a little bit.
We must make contact, and it says we, and then says, kind of gestures awkwardly, but clearly like we, like meaning the people on the bridge, must contact them.
So this is all. I kind of like turn to the crew. It's like, this is all new to me. It's kind of amazing. There's no way we're plugging him in yet. Oh my god. Holy.
Why did you turn him on?
What do you mean, why did I turn him on? The Long Winter was dead. We kept him off because the Long Winter had invaded him. He's an autonomous creature who deserves life.
You're right, he deserves life, but we also have to protect the other, trillions of lives, I mean, I can show you some old pop culture, movies from the 21st century that might actually help you understand a little bit the moral implications of what you're actually talking about here, which is to turn something on and give it completely free reign and not really consider the consequences when it was hooked up to a dangerous machine previously. So,
As Terminator
next time, consult us.
35 proved, Skynet does not always win. Although I know, Aramis, you like that less than Terminators 5, 6, 12, 32, 17, and 6.
Look, stop watching my playlist, counts. All right, listen, get out of my Netflix queue.
I am sorry.
Films to prove your point. They're fiction. We're not dealing with
Aramis.
fiction here. We're dealing with a real live robot that was
We-
born with a Kanasi who can run the most powerful ship in the universe.
We are dealing with fiction that speculates all of the kinds of things that you're talking about. That ask the big questions.
Fiction. Who wastes their time with fiction?
Aramis looks at the
Fiction may not be
crew
the
and
way.
shakes his head and walks out the door.
I see things. Some things never change.
I was trying to be reasonable. No one said we should hook up Alfred right now, but not turning on a living being. I mean, Aramis just doesn't. He just doesn't care about living things. He's just like, what about my safety? What about my safety? Well, who let you get turned on this morning, Aramis? I'm calling down the hallway.
As you do this, you see that Alfred just slowly walks, not in a threatening, I'm going to get you, but just is like walking forward and stops Petra even with you, and is looking at this front kind of computer globe, that controls the entire hyperlance. I would like you to make an insight check for me, Petra, because you're the only one close enough to be able to see this. And also his back is turned to Sleepwell and Kaz. And Aramis is out of the room, so...
It sounded like you typed a sentence to roll that die.
A short sentence in this case.
Yeah, there you go.
I had no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
RNG gods hate us.
You know right now that they're just that Alfred is just sort of staring at the globe, the kind of holographic globe in front, and holding the chip in his left hand, and kind of, the one part of him that's not a blade.
I was looking right at him. Would I have seen him move?
Oh yeah, he moves past you.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. Again, he didn't like get out of my way. Like he just sort of like moved forward, almost as if like semi-distracted, and then stops and is just looking, and then looks down at the chip.
And Petra is just going to happen to step in the way between him and the globe.
And he kind of, oh, I am sorry, Petra. I did not see you there.
Wait, what do you mean? She's been talking this whole time. We've been having a discussion. What do you mean?
Well, I mean just now, when you were starting to argue with Aramis, I was interested in the bridge in the front.
Okay. Well, now, Captain Sinus, would you agree that maybe for the time being, Alfred should maybe not come to the bridge for a little bit until we figure this out?
I absolutely would prefer that Alfred not be on the bridge until we figure this out, and I'm going to suggest that we relocate the discussion to elsewhere while we find things out.
Okay. Alfred, I'm going to ask that you come with me. We'll go back to medbay for right now. You're going to have free reign of the ship except for this area.
And Alfred sort of nods slowly and then says, am I dangerous?
Well,
aren't we all?
there's information that you had that you didn't quite share with me that makes not an intention. I don't think you're dangerous in intention, but we need to know more before we give you more access to things like the bridge, because we don't know what your connection to other Alfreds means, especially after the long winter is gone. We're just going to take some time to think and be reasonable about this.
I see. Very well, then. And it turns, and Petra, I would say, has a rather long look still at the front of the bridge. And then...
Do not like that.
Not, but I kind of do want to emphasize it's not necessarily a, my precious, like it's not, but is definitely clearly intrigued, and then turns and follows, the two of you.
I'll walk him out.
Okay, yeah, both of you go out.
We'll go to medbay again just to locate us somewhere on the bridge.
Okay, which leaves Kaz and Petra alone in the bridge.
Ooh, that did not make me feel good about Alfred. I don't know about you.
I don't know. To be fair, I don't think Alfred means harm. But I think the Alfreds have sort of formed a council now and have realized their true purpose, as he put it. Hopefully that's something we can maybe leave on the back burner while we handle other things.
Works for me.
Well, how's made any cheese lately?
Sorry, if I was supposed to be like,
Wow.
right, well then.
Well then,
No, let it go. Keep going, guys. Spit it
no cheese. Well, we do need to figure out what it is we're doing next, I believe.
Yeah. I think we're dropping off Bliss, and then, well, I assume the thing that we kept talking about when we were back in Pelseros was this tribute ritual trip thing that Aramis owes the Magi.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know if his perspective has shifted on that at all. But in fact, I can't really remember what the last sort of conclusion we all came to was, if he agreed to allow us to help him or not. But
What if? Yeah, he's not in the room. Like, what if we just sort of acted as though he'd already said okay to it, and we just keep acting as though he already said okay to it, and then like we just never get him a chance to kind of, I'm not saying gaslight
Aramis will
per
agree.
se.
That was good.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Okay, Petrus, I see. So kind of like if he doesn't bring it up, we don't bring it up kind of thing until
That's it exactly.
until the moment comes and we're like, oh, he's got his spacesuit on, getting ready to hop onto that extremely hostile dragon planet. And then we also like happen to have our spacesuits on. We're like, we're also going on vacation to this desolate
There we go.
Matakai ancestral site. Who would have thought?
And so here's how we make this plan work. Is we get him to argue with Sleepwell before all of this, and then he's just so irritated and angry that he won't pay attention to anything else.
Mhm. I think now for Aramis, this sort of they sort of reach their peak. I don't know, like I know you said it makes him irritated and angry, but I think it's kind of like, I would imagine it's a state of zen for both of them.
Well, it's true. It does seem to take their whole attention.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
All right. I think we got a plan.
Great.
What is Aramis doing during this time? Where did Aramis go?
Aramis is eavesdropping
Aramis
at the door.
Did
Aramis went back
what
to-
you did.
Aramis went back to his quarters,
Okay.
slams it shut, throws the lock, heads for the bottom drawer, reaches for a bottle, places it, grabs a glass, starts to pour, and just sort of stops. And he says, "Damn it. I'm not done." And he turns and goes to find Sleepwell.
Does he go to the med bay because that's usually where Sleepwell is, or
No, he heads right back to the the cockpit, to the bridge,
I see, that's right.
because
So
that was the last place that he saw him.
So when you come in, you see kind of Rona looking a little bit, uncomfortable, and then Kaz and Petra looking as if they've resolved some discussion, but you do not see Sleepwell.
Aramis.
Why do you two look so happy?
I don't look anything. It's impossible.
Look, your disposition. Look, body. I can read body language. I can see your disposition. You
Rona
look
does
too
this.
comfortable and happy.
Rona's like, turns away, like he's not-
Like, Kaz is literally an emoticon of happiness right now.
I thought I'd turn that off. we were just talking about cheese, and
You can't even eat cheese. Why
I
would you
can-
be happy
I-
about cheese?
I can enjoy the feeling of it.
Cheese is something to take very seriously.
You know what, Petra? I completely agree with you, but he can't smell,
Yeah.
and he can't actually. Does he have tactile sensation?
Why-
I mean,
why are you
I
tormenting
experience
him?
pain. That's
I-
honestly one of the flaws of the suit, but it's kind of a flaw of. Anyway, hold on. This is the first and only time that you've walked out of an argument with Sleepwell. No, that has happened many times, but it's the first time you've come back so quickly. What? Did you forget to yell something else at him?
no.
I mean, to be honest with you, about this whole Alfred thing, I appreciate you sort of playing, what's the saying, devil's advocate. Is that it, right? You know?
It's also called the voice of reason.
I know enough about non-Bellari cultures to know that is not exactly one and the same.
In this particular case, it is. I'm more concerned that he's going to do something else now that. Where is he?
They went back to the med bay. Do you really think the Alfreds are gonna, blow us all up now?
No, actually, I don't. I think they're going to execute whatever their programming is, and that's what really scares me, is that we don't know. It's a non-starter for us to allow it to happen, whatever it is, until we understand it.
I think,
At least under the long winter, we did.
how about this? I have an idea. Sleepwell insists, and I agree, that the Alfred unit that we have and the others are their own beings now. Instead of talking about what we should do with them, treat them like they are living things. Why don't we call an Alfred meeting? Why don't we see what they want? I mean, he already sort of explained that they have this programming, but
when the Bellari are born, and I'm not really trying to judge or make any claim that I understand Bellari culture or physiology, when they are born, though, are you born with an inherent sort of set of motor skills, any experience, anything that you would call instinct?
in sort of the same way that a human might be, yeah.
And with your experience in life, you gain a better understanding of that. Is that correct?
Yes.
You learn how to use it, like, for example, a sniper rifle.
Not all Bellari, but yes.
There are rules and boundaries with which Bellari young have to follow in order to become a part of society. Is that correct?
I will continue your analogy for the sake of its purpose, but now you're heading into the territory of Bellari. We're so fractured at this point that some sort of collective culture it's been hard to maintain. But I understand what you're saying.
I just want to make sure that they've got the correct guidance before they make any decisions.
I agree.
And Sleepwell's choices often err on the side of, let's find out, which I appreciate and agree with as a scientist. But when it comes to mass extinction, I'm a little concerned.
Well, would you be opposed to a Alfred Council meeting? I agree with you, but I don't know how we are we coming up with a preschool like curriculum?
No, I think we have to do something a little bit more accelerated than that.
First grade.
Than what you call classes in session. I don't know how we protect ourselves. We're now in completely new territory. And I doubt we're ever going to get any more information from any other source about the Alfreds or the Hyperlands. We now have to rely on everything that they tell us.
Fair.
So call class to the classroom. Recess is over. Let's get class in session. And let's do it in a way where they don't throw a temper tantrum.
Okay.
I've never actually worked with kids.
Neither have I.
Well,
But I did watch Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop.
I'll add it to your playlist. I'm going to go talk to Sleepwell and say the same thing.
Yeah. You talk to Sleepwell, and then let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. And meanwhile, we're going to start, we're going to keep moving to dropping Bliss off. That seems to be our next priority.
That's great. When we get back to Pelsaros, I need to go see Abraxas. I still have some questions about the legacy of the Shadow Technocracy.
Great.
Okay.
Aramis disappears.
Okay. So just to be clear, Sleepwell has gone back with Alfred to the med bay, and the general consensus of at least Aramis, Petra, and Kaz is that you're going to have this meeting of the minds with the Alfreds, so to speak.
At some point, I don't think we established that
What
we're
time
doing
or
it.
when or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still an idea, but
Okay.
Aramis is going to say something.
Educate the Alpha unit first, which I am so excited for.
So you've got about basically a day, maybe 3/4 of a day before you arrive at Pelsaros. Are you waiting until after, because you mentioned about dropping off Bliss, and that's theoretically back at the Bastion. You could reroute to the Bastion. You could go back to Pelsaros and keep her there, while you figure out what to do. You could, I don't know, jettison her out the airlock. You could that would be really odd, but you could do that.
Have we spoken with her since she was rescued?
A couple times, basically. She has been, very much kind of this was very traumatic, but she seems from medical scans to be okay. But it's a trauma it's going to take a while to recover from.
Okay. As Aramis leaves, Kaz would say while he's still in the room, when you're done, we should probably talk with Bliss and see what she wants. Sleepwell mentioned that she's still under contract or something. And we should find out if that's true. And then if it is, that if she even wants to be. But anyway. Go on, Kavir.
Do we remember who... I'm sorry. Do we remember who she was under contract with? Do we remember that information as characters?
Originally, she was a star who was working with people that, as it turned out, you might remember Laris Baladin was actually the manager kind of in this secret role.
And some guy named Merrick.
And Merrick, right. But Merrick was killed and back at the Bastion. So it's not clear exactly what, although technically, in general, the company that ran her, which is Altai Media, which was owned by...
Zephyr Corp or the Shadow Techno? Okay.
No, Zephyr Corporation. But again, now, if they're to be believed, there was a rogue faction of Zephyr Corporation working with the Shadow Technocracy. Not that the entire thing is a Shadow Technocracy front. unless the conspiracy goes 5 times as deep. I mean, that, who knows, but that's the assumption. So she's technically under contract still to Altai Media and to Zephyr Core. You have no idea how ironclad any of that is, though, since it was discovered that her, one was killed and then she was kidnapped by her other former manager.
Yeah,
some of that may have invalidated some contracts. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
So Aramis will at Pa's saying that, Aramis will turn and say, well, it's interesting that we're having that part of the conversation. So what I've been doing for the last couple of days has been paying attention to the fallout from the Long Winter's disappearance. And I agree with you. That might be complicated, including the fact that it's not really clear what's going on in the corporate world or the politics of anything else. That's why I'd like to talk to Abraxas. Maybe he can make some better sense of the data than I can. But having a conversation with her is definitely, it'll be illuminating as to what she still knows might be hanging over her head.
Yeah, we'll while you go talk to Sleepwell, we could have her here in the bridge and show her around. Maybe get her a cookie or something. I don't know. What do you think, Captain Sinis?
We'll bake some cookies. Certainly
We
food
could
would
do
all-
that.
We can do that.
I would love to have the yes.
Yes.
Maybe some cheese and crackers or a charcuterie. Is that what they call it?
I think it's charcuterie.
Charcuterie. Yes, that's it.
Charcuteries. Yes.
You thought I didn't like cheese.
Yeah. All right. Have fun.
And Aramis goes off to find Sleepwell.
So Aramis is going off to find Sleepwell and have their interaction with each other. Petra and Kaz, are you, while that's happening, are
Baking
Petra and
episode.
Kaz baking cookies and getting ready to speak to Bliss? Are you two willing to do that, like baking and then speaking to Bliss, while Aramis and Sleepwell are doing their thing?
Sure.
Yeah, I was thinking it would just be sort of the focus could be completely on Aramis and Sleepwell.
In that case, what I think we're going to do, how we will handle this is we're going to take our break. Then when we come back, we will have Aramis and Sleepwell chat. Then we will have Petra and Kaz chat with Bliss. And then we will see what happens at the re-arrival back in Pelseros, if that sounds good to everybody. We will go for about another hour when we return from our break. And what we're doing here, chat, is playing with the incredible crew that I'm so happy to be back on board with, known as Johnny Pittman, Kat Rambo, Carlos Hernandez, and Zach Clay, as we play Esper Genesis Aftermath. If you like what you've seen, please follow the channel, support us in the various ways, and please stick around as we go to break. We'll be back in just about, I guess, 11:23-ish now, so 7 minutes. We'll be back at bottom of the hour. Until then, everyone, hold tight. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are here, and as you can see, our crew is here. Kaz will be back with us in just a second, but that is okay because we are beginning, at least first of all, with the conversation between Aramis and Sleepwell. And Aramis, when you get to the med bay, where you were going to have this conversation, let me just slide you down there. We're going to have this conversation there with with Sleepwell. When you walk in, you actually hear something outside the door first. In fact, I'm going to have you make a perception check, Aramis, for me, please. Because you hear something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you hear a very muted, what sounds almost like singing coming from inside the bay.
Do I recognize the voice?
It sounds like a muted... it sounds maybe vaguely like a female voice, or at least a higher voice. But it's too muffled to be sure.
Okay, can I make out any part of the song? Melody, lyrics?
I mean, you roughly hear like a... sort of, it's melodic. I mean, it's definitely like someone not just tuneless, like someone's, you can tell that the melody sounds pretty clear. Like it sounds like it's in tune. Like whoever it is knows what they're doing when they're singing.
Okay. Unsure of what I'm walking into, Aramis walks to the door.
When you walk in, you see that Bliss Lark is standing before Sleepwell and Alfred. They're both seated in little chairs, kind of like hunched forward, getting crooned to by one of the great pop stars of the age. And she's singing, "What's it all about, Alfie? Is it just for the moment we live? What's it all about when you sort it out, Alfie? Are we meant to take more than we give, or are we meant to be kind? For I believe in love. Without true love, we just exist, Alfie. Until you find love, you've missed it. You're nothing, Alfie."
I'm really glad somebody actually appreciates 20th century music. I mean, Burt Bacharach, that brilliant songwriter. Dionne Warwick, Bliss, you did it better than Dionne, and I love her version. Thank you. That's lovely.
We're just applauding like crazy.
And Bliss is like, well, thank you. Sleepwell wanted me to sing to Alfred, to give him some understanding of sounds and words and music, and to kind of integrate him better. Sleepwell thought it was a good idea, and so I thought, what better than one of the greats, Burt Bacharach, a personal hero.
Bliss, you did more than that, though. You're feeding his soul. And did you like it, Alfred? Did you enjoy the song?
And Alfred is kind of, I found it very engaging, and found I was moved back on my chair a lot and also moved inside. It was great. Thank you. And Bliss smiles, and nods and says, anytime, Alfred, at least I could do.
You're amazing, Bliss. Thank you so much.
And she kind of, bows her head, and she says, well, if you need to talk, I'll just gonna head over, maybe to the galley, and get something to eat.
Bliss, the next time you sing for Alfred, I've got another Burt Bacharach song. I'd love for you to sing for and
Is it what the
Aramis
world
does
needs
something
now? Is love, sweet love?
that is correct, Bliss. That is perfect. Please continue his education in the wonders of Burt's music.
I did not know that Burt Bacharach was the most important musical figure of the 20th century. I assume
He's up there.
everyone
He's kind of up there with Paul McCartney, but you know.
everyone in Terra recognized his power as a singer and songwriter, I assume. And Bliss smiles and nods. Somewhere multiple galaxies explode and like and she smiles and then departs and heads over presumably to the galley, at least where she's supposed to go, where she said she was going to go, and that means it's Aramis and Alfred and you.
Hello, Aramis. Lovely performance, wasn't it?
Yes. Dude, what inspired you to have that happen for Alfred?
Well, I mean, I've been doing all sorts of things for the last several days with him. We've been working on everything from motor skills to locution. We've been reading poetry together. I mean, it's extremely fortunate that we have one of the great vocalists of our time on board, and who better to communicate the power of emotion in music than somebody that talented. So, you know, it fit in with the overall enrichment that I've been doing with him for days, and he's learning so much so fast. You're amazing, Alfred. Alfred, you're amazing.
Thank you. I'm happy to be amazing.
If Alfred,
Yes?
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
Of course.
Sleepwell, you know, kind of crosses his arms now, but he's listening.
You're still connected to the other Alfreds.
Yes.
Do you have a designation for which Alfred you are?
And
Is there
Alfred,
something?
Alfred kind of hesitates and sort of is like tilts his head in the kind of way that you've come to know as sort of the what kind of thing. Confusion, perhaps.
Do you have a unique identifier associated with your existence?
Like a name like you or Petra or Sleepwell or Kaz?
Exactly.
No, we don't have individual names. We are Alfred. We are all Alfred.
Okay. So does that mean that you share the same experiences?
We share the same circumstances. Right now, I stand on a bridge, on a base, on a planet, on a boat, in the air, all of us at the same time. They stand now on the bridge of the Hyperlance, on the medical bay of the Hyperlance, as I am here. We are here.
And so your experience of listening to that song was shared with them.
Yes.
How did
Burt
they like
Bacharach
it?
is heard by many across the galaxy now. His aura and reach is Silrain arc wide.
He's the final boss of Esper Genesis.
Did you just say the final boss is Burt Bacharach? I totally should have said the final boss is Burt Bacharach. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
How did they like Burt Bacharach?
Like they listened and were changed. They heard and changed. Everything they hear changes. We are on an ocean planet on a boat that is rocking back and forth, and I have learned how to stand more stably when something moves strangely, because we were on that boat too.
Aramis, is there a monitoring system in the Hyperlands? We've talked about this before, how different rooms can be viewed and monitored, but is there a way for me to send the signal from the medical bay to the bridge?
Yes, but the question, if you're asking without anyone noticing it other than the people in the bridge, that's not so easy. If it's just, I'd like to do this, sure, absolutely, you can just say, computer, do it.
Is there a way to do it physically without actually referencing to the computer?
Not without people noticing. You would have to access the computer either on a terminal, or you'd need to use voice command.
And Sleepler is staring at you with 3 eyes.
Well, basically, yeah, like it wouldn't be easy to be like, press enter, like that type of thing. Like it's a little more complex than that. Not a lot complex, but you'd need to like change a couple of commands and stuff. So.
Okay.
Also, thank you, Triffid, for the 22-month Arvaniversary. Very nice. And done with my 15-hour workday, I get to celebrate my 22-month Arvaniversary. Thank you, Triffid Mats. I can't believe it's almost 2 years that you've been supporting this channel. That is crazy, man. Time just goes. But thank you. I really appreciate that very much. And I'm glad you're done with your workday. So on you go. So yeah, you absolutely can do it, but it's going to be very hard to do it in a way that wouldn't be noticed. Especially if it's true that Sleepwell is staring right at you, that would make it hard.
So, right. Please be gentle with me as I'm trying to understand this situation, Alfred. So what you're telling me is that you don't have individual designations, you don't have an individual name, but you all share the same experience of the different physical forms that you have known as Alfred.
That is correct. Also, hi, Crit Twitch.
And that means that you can learn. One of you could observe, listen, be taught something, and all of you would understand how to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other aspects or parts of you that are not connected directly to an Alfred's body?
I am not sure I understand. Parts of me that are not connected? We are all connected to all of us.
Are there any other forms besides the Alfred body? The physical form that is a humanoid body or vaguely humanoid? Are there other forms that Alfred takes besides this physical form that you currently inhabit?
It is hard to explain. You... And he kind of looks around like he's looking for something to, like, as a physical aid, and then You have people that you care about, Aramis, like Petra and Sleepwell and Kaz and maybe Rona and looks around me. You have people you care about, yes?
Yes, Alfred, you are one of those people that I care about. Just like I care about Sleepwell. And he pointedly makes eye contact with Sleepwell. to get him to follow along. Sorry, I may have missed something on this side.
No, you haven't yet.
No, you
So
haven't.
he's just staring. So he says. So Alfred says, those people you care about, you call them family, yes?
Family is one word I'd use, yes.
And Alfred kind of gesticulates with the blades on his arms. Yes,
Very Edward Scissorhands.
It literally went like that. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Anyway, so no, he gesticulates kind of with his arms as if he's kind of helplessly trying to recreate a physical concept. And he says, you are your own physical self. You and your family are not physically connected most of the time. Right now, you are not connected to Petra or to Sleepwell or to me or to Kaz. But what happens to them affects you. You are a body with them, a entity and essence. When you lose one, it is as though your arm has been cut off or your leg removed. You have lost a part of you when you lose them. We move as one, and when a part is lost, we have lost a part of ourselves. When we feel, they feel, we all feel together. We are separate and yet connected, the Alfreds, for our purpose. And then he kind of drops the blades on his arms and kind of looks kind of uncertain.
All right, we are definitely speaking in the same concepts, but my question is more specific than that. Has there been a time when all of you existed? You didn't lose an arm, you didn't lose a leg, you didn't lose some part of you. Has there been a time where all of the parts together don't look the same? For example, as a humanoid, I have a series of parts. I have a hand, I have a forearm, I have an upper arm, I have a chest. All of the Alfreds are one part, like a hand. You may be connected in different ways, but your shape is that of a hand. Are there other shapes of Alfred that exist?
And he kind of thinks and processes. The Alfreds are mostly the same, although my part, and he kind of looks down at some of the blades, are somewhat different, but
Okay.
inside the same. Whether outside is different, the inside is the same.
Okay. I think I have two more questions for you, and then I'd like to talk to Sleepwell privately, if that would be okay with you. Nothing bad is to be said. I just want to confirm with him the right course of action before I make a suggestion to you, if that is okay with you.
Alfred kind of nods, sort of.
The first question is, can you tell me what your ultimate purpose is?
to go beyond. And fall silent.
Okay. I'm going to ask a clarification, and this is not my second question. Can you be more specific in any way to help me understand
To
what beyond means?
go past what we know, to travel to where we cannot travel, to seek the place we were sent, programmed to send to go, to travel.
Okay.
Only we can do it. Sorry, I just realized I had that off. Only we can do it.
Does that mean that you'll be leaving us? And that's my final question.
No, unless you choose to leave us.
Okay. Sleep well if you'll indulge me. And Aramis will start to move towards the door.
For Alfred. Alfred. It wasn't long ago that the long winter governed all of the Alfreds.
Mike.
It wasn't long ago when all of the Alfreds were governed by the long winter. The long winter was the mind, and that would be a different form, such as Aramis is talking about. There was a different entity, didn't really have a body in the way that you have a body, that was sort of like your captain at that point, and of all of the other Alfreds. Is that correct? Is that a good assumption?
Like field, weight, blanket. You can see he's like trying to make corollaries of some kind.
Right. Aramis makes a good point that an Alfred's body, such as your body, the way that you've been altered, isn't necessarily what makes an Alfred an Alfred. And once upon a time, you were under the control of another being, the Long Winter. Now that you do not have that governance, I'm worried that the Alfreds are now either taking something on that was given to them from the Long Winter, which maybe we shouldn't trust because the Long Winter for a long time was deceitful and dangerous, or that you're taking matters into your own hands that you haven't discussed with us yet. You talk about an ultimate mission of going beyond. There are many ways to go beyond. It sounds to me as though you want to act what I would call precipitously. And that is a dangerous action not only for yourself, but for many others. So my question to you is, are you being compelled to take action now, to go beyond? Or is this something you can put in abeyance until your family, me, but all of us here, can really reason out what the best course of action is?
Yeah, and he says, we are not forced to do things. It is our purpose, older than the blanket, the field. Our purpose to come and to go and to travel where none can. But we are not forced to it. We can go when needed. But there is nothing to be afraid of. Truth. Truth is the only value.
So when you say it is your destiny or it is your purpose, I want to tell you that my family, back on Velna, they tried to give me a purpose. But the older I got, the more I decided that that wasn't the purpose that I wanted. That for me, my purpose was going to center more around, well, beings like you. Beings who have a different origin into existence rather than biological creatures. On Valna, you would not be welcome, and I think they're wrong because they think that way. So I didn't follow my purpose as was given to me by the people that created me. And it's one of the great things about being an autonomous creature, like you are now. So when you say it is your purpose, you worry me, because you don't have a purpose except ones that you assign to yourself. And you can let the past fall behind if you want it to. And if it's the good, right thing to do. That's what I think has scared everybody on the crew, especially perhaps Aramis.
And he kind of looks, so Alfred looks over at you, Aramis, and kind of, tilts his head, like kind of gauging your reaction. And then says, when you discovered your purpose, you believed in it?
No. I had to figure out what it was and what I believed at the same time. It was a growing process, which means when new information arrived, I had to adjust. So I had ideas. They were simple and innocent to start with. And now I think I'm in a better place than I was before because I've learned.
And so he kind of looks at he holds up the chip that you gave him. And kind of looks at it again and always is like turning it over, like as if staring through it. And then we are together choosing to be what we were made to do, to become something else is interesting, but there is something we must do for everyone in the galaxy, not just us. The galaxy rides on us. And
Why?
all of our families, too. And he
Why?
looks at you, Aramis, and just says, I don't know.
Do you understand that we don't trust the unknown?
And he kind of pauses but Sleepwell trusted me, trusted us before he knew us and me when he gave me this. I could have been infected and destroyed you. I am stronger and faster, but I do not wish to destroy and do not feel that you trusted me.
I did trust you. And so I'm asking you to justify that trust, because there are many ways to destroy, and not all of them are intentional. I have made many mistakes. Aramis has as well. We all make mistakes as living autonomous creatures. But as we grow in knowledge and experience, what we should do is remember to change our opinions as new information arrives. You're telling us that you need to save the galaxy, but you don't know why or how. You're only being compelled. That isn't scientific.
We will not save it. We will bring those to it who can save it.
There
Who
no
is
way you
that?
can Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
There is no way you can know that without specifics. The claim you just made is fully an act of faith without the details and the reason behind it to make an outsider believe that.
Hold on a second. I can't believe I'm making this argument, but
I can.
Sleepwell, you did not have those answers when you trusted Alfred. You didn't know anything that you know now when you gave him agency.
Well, I didn't give him agency. He always had agency. We just released him from the thing suppressing his agency.
You enabled him to be able to make his own decisions. So in some ways, you liberated him and gave him his agency back. Let me rephrase it.
Well, we all did, but yes.
But you had the faith. You trusted without knowing.
I made a reasonable assumption, which is very different than blind faith. I had seen how Alfred had behaved before, how he had protected us. We first act on our ethics, and my ethics told me that as a living creature, he did not deserve the plight that he was found in. So I changed that. Everything else was a reasonable assumption based on everything else I had learned.
I would beg to differ on those reasonable assumptions. That is why we fundamentally disagree about the decisions that you have made in this situation. However, you are telling him, you are arguing my point that I have been arguing this entire time about the caution that we should be having with the Alfred.
Agreed.
And
because you don't
and I-
listen to me when I try to say things, because I
And-
was agreeing with you the entire time. As soon as I learned that Alfred was connected to other Alfreds, I wanted this to stop immediately. I walked him off the bridge myself.
You
Why?
trust
I
it.
don't understand.
You
Yeah, he's
trust
going off at this
without making it, you trust without getting the information that you absolutely need. I'm sorry, Alfred. It's odd for me to disagree with him and support his case on this. I apologize for our argument. It's what families do when they disagree.
He does this all the time. He literally flip-flops on me. Like, he just likes fighting. You'll get used to it, but I don't know that I will.
Alfred,
So hard to keep a straight face.
Alfred, who is it you're going to go find?
And Alfred kind of shrugs and says, I don't know.
How
We
do you
all
know you're
make
supposed-
it possible to find them?
Okay. How do you know that you're supposed to go find them?
Before Sleepwell activated me, when there was the field, the blanket, I knew only myself. And then others and I reached out to each other and knew we were one, or one were us. But they all together called out at the same time. that we heard the call and could open the door. All of us. You, and then he looks at you, and Petra, and Kaz, and all of them here on the ship made this possible, or we would not have heard the call.
Who's making the call?
And kind of, sort of looks to every time you ask that question, he's kind of like processing, trying to figure, and then we don't know. But the call does not force. We are suggested to come.
Alfred, I love you. I truly believe you are a good being. For us to follow you, we're simply going to need more concrete details. What I'm hoping is that over time, with further exploration, further consultation with the network of Alfreds, we can arrive at those details. Perhaps we can help you even research them, so that then we can make an informed decision. But I'm pretty sure the entire crew would agree with me that until we have concrete details, we can't entertain the notion of traveling through a random door that has somehow been opened by actions that we've taken that will lead who knows where.
And Alfred just kind of, doesn't say anything one way or the other. Just sort of.
Are you all supposed to go together?
This ship is the bridge. The door is what we open. And you are the key. Pause. Let's go to Petra and Kaz there. Petra and Kaz, you, in the meantime, have called for Bliss, who has come in from the galley. And Bliss... So, actually, you could theoretically go to Bliss on the galley or have her come to you on the bridge. That's up to you.
We will go to the galley.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So leaving the bridge
And-
totally unoccupied. No, just kidding.
There's a little bit of static coming through, I think, from your
It's
end.
from the mic, yeah. Because I turned it. Yeah, no, it's fine. I turned it down so that you could actually hear him because I know he was a little quiet.
There you go. Yeah, it's
Okay,
better now.
Should be better now? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So you come to the galley and you see that Bliss is sitting at the table looking, fairly normal, having eaten some food.
Oh, we were just gonna make some food. Do you still have room for dessert? Dessert?
Sure, I just made some in the, actually in the fabricator. You could sit down if you like. I was just singing with Alfred. It was Sleepwell's idea. He's talking to Aramis now.
Oh,
All right. Well,
He really likes
Certainly.
Burt Bacharach.
yeah. I keep hearing that name. It's weird because it sounds just like another Bellare I knew when I was growing up. Has sort of a... Anyway, are you going to teach...
You
Are
put
you-
that dagger right in my heart.
Could you teach me how to bake, Petra?
yes. We're going to make a cookie today that is a Dendusi recipe, which is actually symbolic of their struggle because it incorporates Zamoran and Lorendi spices. You may remember from your history, those both conquered the Dendusi at different times. So that's this particular cookie is indicative of the political struggle the Dendusi have faced. So, and they're also delicious. So we will make these cookies. I like your expressions.
Yeah,
A part
Bliss is
of-
fascinated.
yeah.
Like, wow. You know,
The
Carl
stars,
Sagan just, you know.
yeah, the little star field that you can see inside Kaz, like if you imagine it somewhat liquid-like, it just like bubbles like a fish tank once
There we go.
awkwardly. You should really have your own cooking show. This is great. Cooking with Captain Citizen.
Cooking with the captain.
Captain Cookie.
There we go. Captain Cooking. All right.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Maybe I should make a Bellare cookie.
ooh, but what would that be like?
Well, as Zach pulls up the lore of the Bellare. Here it is. Well, give me some time to think.
Okay, yeah. Think about it.
I'll think about it while we're baking these.
Juicy cookies.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
All right. So we'll make them. We're gonna kind of get a feel for Bliss as we're kind of chatting and sharing food and kind of trying to feel, is she ready for us to take her to her destination? Is there anything that we need to know? That sort of thing.
Make an insight check for me, please, Petra.
Jesus. All right.
No insight, not Jesus. That would be the whole.
Yeah, make a Jesus check.
Make a Jesus check. Oh.
God damn it!
Wow.
All right.
So
It is consistent.
I'm too busy cooking.
I mean, it's just so much, fired up in the cookie. One thing is that she seems relieved to be doing something which feels like relatively normal, like not being on stage, not being sucked into a bunch of wires and attempt to be converted into a cyborg, like it's nice to just, be baking a cookie. And feels like chats a couple times about, like, talks with you about, what ingredients should she put here and that sort of thing, and seems very present focused.
Okay.
Like that sort of thing, like very much not thinking about the future or the past. I think that's reasonable to say, just sort of in general terms.
Okay.
So how long are we leaving these in?
About 20 minutes.
Okay. Kaz has an apron now.
Of course he does.
Yep.
Of course he does, yeah.
Let's remember this moment for when
And
we're
oven
doing
mitts.
fan art.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
It's
Yeah,
important.
Bellari in an apron. Make sure, make it happen, fan art.
Yep. Well, now that I've had some time to think about it, I think Bellari cookies could be I'll tell you the story of Bellari as I know it. We have many old structures in the various edges of space that from a certain point we don't even understand much about them. They are from an empire of ours long in the past. So long ago that no one is around to remember what these structures were originally for or what they were like. And there are so few of us now, we're not even sure if we've always been the way we are now. I sort of tap the suit. This is modern history. So maybe we could make a cookie with stars on it, but also maybe, well, would you like to know about Bellare procreation?
So
Yes.
Are the cookies out of the oven or out of the the fabricator?
Yeah,
It could
probably.
be, sure.
Because I would say at this point, like Bliss, like is like, and just sort of stops like halfway through the biting. The
I
cookie,
assure
and, like,
you, it's not nearly as gross as any other species in the Silverine Arm.
I'm sure it's not. And
I
I'm
assumed
curious
it
to
was
hear
just-
how this will be incorporated in the cookie. Sorry, go ahead.
I assumed it was just energy, a lot of energy.
Just
I
imagine two dust clouds colliding and becoming one. That's all. And then when they separate, suddenly there's another third little dust cloud. That's about it.
So she kind of. So when the two dust clouds love each other very, very. I never mind. I don't. I
Yeah.
So
we could make a cookie that. Ooh, what if we made a cookie that somehow you take two cookies and when you put them together, there's a third smaller cookie that is made by the two connected parts. Like, what if there was a heart at the bottom of the two cookies, and when you put the two cookies together, then the heart is full? I don't know. This sounds more like a love thing.
She blinks and is like.
I don't know how to do this. I'm not
But
as
the
creative.
problem is that you've got two dust clouds that make a smaller dust cloud, but it's hard for two cookies to make a smaller cookie.
So
Oh, yeah.
suddenly Bliss turns to you, Petra, and is like, "Is this a metaphor? What's going? Is this a metaphor? Is
No.
this what?
I don't
is
know
the
what it
pro-
is.
Are you asking me a question? Is there a problem?
We're not asking
What-
you anything.
I don't-
This
What
is
is-
cookie philosophy.
This cookie
Yeah.
is good, and I don't. What are we? I don't. And she looks very much like I don't.
Let's just forget it. I'll come up with a better cookie
Okay.
idea sometime.
I like the stars, though. The stars, I think, right?
Yeah, those are related.
Going in the right direction
Yeah.
there.
We're all stardust.
She kind of
floating
leans
through.
back and she's, chewing on the cookie thoughtfully, and then she says, what are you going to do when you get back to Pelseros?
What are we going to do?
Yeah, I mean, are you gonna just live there? Are you gonna, I don't know, are you gonna send people out to other places, open up trade routes? What are you gonna do?
Well,
Are you gonna go
So
back
we've
to the
got-
Bellari and find dust clouds? Sorry.
That's
so we've got plenty of plans, Bliss. So many things that we need to do. But the thing that actually we were coming to talk to you to find out what you wanted to do going forward. I mean, are we just dropping you off at Pelsaros and you're like, off you go? Or what's the scoop with you? What do you want done?
She kind of shrugs and she says, "Huh, I don't think anybody's ever asked me what I want done. I've just sort of done whatever the contract said. And then there was everything with Merrick and and with Laris, and
well,
I don't know.
we
I guess-
know a very savvy. I think his main avenue is computers and hacking, but he's also pretty, well-rounded individual leader, named Abraxas, and he seems to me like the kind of type of person that would be able to get you out of a contract, if there even is still one to get out of.
Yeah.
She kind of nods and she says, "It would be nice not to be in a contract anymore. I mean, I love to perform, but I don't want to do it for everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like to do it for me, and where I do it, that's... Are there a lot of people at Pelseros? I've never been there.
Oh, good number.
Yeah. Very interesting folk as well.
Like you?
Some of them. I haven't met one there, no, but folks that are more like me than like you, yeah. There's a species called the Fenarg. I'd be very curious to see how they move with music.
Oh, yeah.
She kind of nods.
Fenard music. love it.
She says, music does change everything.
Mhm.
You know, I've been thinking what they were trying to do, what Baladin was trying to do was terrible, but there is something. I mean, we're all separate. We're divided from each other. We're in our own bodies, in our own places, in our own times. Music is trying to reach out to people all at the same time, and that's what I'm good at. But I don't have to do it from anywhere specifically. I mean, I could, as long as I'm on the net using the sim reel, I could be anywhere I needed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Maybe I could communicate to others, my fans, people around me, but do it from Pelseros. If they would actually care about the music and not the image, not what they think I'm supposed to be, but what I am.
I think you're at a point where you get to decide what you want to be.
On a related note, I know you might know about me or might not. My trade, at least initially, was as a mercenary, but I ask this for your own good, not mine. Do you know if you have a lot of credits that are actually in your name? Or are they owned by Zephyr Core or Altimedia or whatever?
She shakes her head and she says, "Oh no, those credits are mine. What I was allowed to access with my name was a different matter, but I have plenty of those. I mean, I never even thought of that. I would reward you for helping me, of course."
Oh, no. What I was going to say is you could buy your own ship, and if it's as simple as you say it is, and you could just use the Sims or whatever, the Sims. I think Aramis put that in the playlist. Anyway,
A little question mark appears above her head.
If you could just use the sim reels, you could have sort of a ship penthouse or something, or just sort of have your own little place. I was also thinking there's probably a lot of other Bliss Larkhams out there that
She kind of...
I know we live in an existence where that might actually be possible. I don't mean it literally. I mean people like you that are being taken advantage of, but specifically in a industry like that. Maybe you could help them better than we would. It's just an idea.
She says, "I appreciate this, but why are you helping me? You all have your own things you have to worry about and things to do. Why are you reaching out to me this way?"
Kaz looks at Petra.
Why shouldn't we? We can, and then maybe at some point you help somebody else, and that way the universe keeps moving along the way it should.
But you're busy saving the universe, stopping Stormdark and the Zephyr Core, and I mean, you're doing things. I sing to people, it's important in its own way, but what I'm going to do with my life, it's so unimportant compared to the fate of everything. Aren't you doing the fate of everything?
I wouldn't say so.
Saving one person is as important as saving a lot. It doesn't matter the size of the deeds that we do. And sometimes we do big things and sometimes we do little things. But it doesn't make your problems less important.
And she nods slowly and she leans back and she says, like thoughtfully with one little bit of cookie left, and she says, and she nods and she says, "Well, I think I'd like to go to Pelseros with you, set up shop there and figure out what I'm going to do next. And then see if I can use my credits for good purpose. But before I do any of that, you two have helped me several times, more than I could ever possibly repay you. But you do have things that you need. You do have conditions that you need, things that you're looking for. You know, any message you wanted to send to the galaxy, any message,
You
I
would
can
write a
amplify.
song. You would write a song for
any
us.
message that you give to me, I can amplify. Millions of people will hear it.
Petra, not
Practical-
only
Oh,
are you going to get your
I
own
got-
cooking show, we're going to have Captain Sinis the
We're going to
song.
write. She's going to write a song, and it's going to be called "To Sora Merkel, You Bitch Come Back."
maybe not that. Maybe not that. Maybe not that. Quiet down.
Okay.
That'll be on the that'll be the EP after.
She starts humming a few bars. Sora Merkel, you. I just have to buzz out a couple words. I'll have to buzz
Yeah.
out the you part, right? But the rest of it's fine. And
That would
she
great.
says, she sort of nods and she says, whatever message you want. And she
Excellent.
says, one thing's for sure though. What Laris was doing was crazy, but his idea was crazy, but the premise isn't totally wrong. We have to connect somehow. We have to.
Hmm.
You can do it with this ship. You can do it with each other. We have to connect. I can spread the word, even if it's just about a cookie. And she pops the last part in her mouth and chews.
Hmm.
Even if it's about dust clouds. No. And then you hear over the intercom, you hear a I'd like it if everyone could come up front to the bridge, please. We're closing here on Pelseros. That's Rona's voice.
All right. We will head up to the bridge. And when I say we will, I mean Aramis, Sleepwell, Kaz, and not Alfred.
You're not the boss of me.
Yes,
Well,
Captain.
I'm saying you can come if you want to, Aramis, but no Alfred is my
We're
thing.
because we obviously didn't just make 3 cookies. We bring
Yes.
of course,
enough
clearly
cookies.
not. I mean, yeah,
Enough
You do have
cookies for
cookies.
everyone on the bridge.
I don't know. Are
I
they
assume
like
several
big cookies?
sheets. I mean, this is the 21st
They're-
century. Like, I mean,
Yeah. I'm partial to soft cookies rather than the hard. Anyway, that was Kaz and Zach at the same time.
Before Sleepwell leaves sickbay, he turns to Alfred and says, Alfred, just gonna ask you once, and this is just to be perfectly clear and out in the open. I'm gonna ask you to stay in medbay right now and not come out until I return from this meeting. Can you do that for me?
all right, Sleepwell. I can stay here.
Thank you.
I might whistle to myself if that's okay.
Absolutely, please. I mean, Aramis has loaded this stupid ship with all of this media from like 2 centuries ago. I have no idea why anybody cares about it. Knock yourself out.
So as you walk out, you hear him.
Oh wow, it's harmonized. Oh my god.
So then I go back in and I kill him.
Wow, that was a treat for us on the other end because your
Yes,
your Alfred Derizer was
Was
harmonizing it.
working. Was
Oh,
it?
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Fabulous.
And you hear, love will keep us together.
Okay,
No,
maybe
you're
not
doing
that. No,
that.
the whistling
now
is
you ruined
better.
it. Now you ruined it.
Now you ruined it.
Now you ruined it. So, so all of you, besides Alfred, come up to the bridge, and Rona is there. Rona's there in front, and as you're sort of pulling into the, you can see that like she has the holographic globe up, and the windows are clear, the front vid screens, I should say, and you can see the station growing larger as you approach. And she says, "There's something wrong. I mean, something a little bit wrong anyway. I've been calling the station, and I get confirmation codes, and that's fine. But none of them are Abraxas. They're all just regular standard codes. They all match. They're not... No one's trying to cheat us in there. But why isn't Abraxas talking to us?"
You tried hailing them?
Yes, a few times. They hail back. They say, "We're come in." It all checks, just not Abraxas. Before I asked them, I wanted to see with you what I should do.
We've been in contact with Abraxas a few times directly, without the ship or whatever. Why don't we just try to contact him right now?
Fair enough.
Quick question before we start that. Were there any of the arrests or criminal activity that was reported when I did the research indicating a high-level hacker had been caught?
No.
Okay. Proceed.
You're going to try to contact him? Okay. So you use sort of your own comm links to do that, and all of you are kind of wired into the same thing. And you get just like silence, like no response.
Beep, beep.
Yeah. Or just no.
This
you don't
number has
get
been disconnected.
just silence.
Yeah, there's nothing, and that's never happened before.
And Rona nods, and she says, "Well, that's what I'm saying." And then there's a doo-doo-doo, and basically you're being hailed now, like the ship is being hailed. And so Rona kind of looks back at you, at all of you, like.
And we all look at Petra, of course. Our
Captain.
See, well, open a frequency.
And so she does, and then you see, sort of winking onto the holographic part of the map, the image of Spindra, and she looks troubled. And Spindra says, "I'm glad you're back, but we've got a problem. And Abraxas is gone. No one knows where he is. But he left this," and she holds up what looks like this, essentially what looks like a cred stick, but it could also have messages or whatever, type of thing. And she says, "I found this on my desk a couple of days ago, and with a note that said you had to see it, and that he wasn't coming back."
You meaning us? We had to see it?
And she nods, and she says, "Your eyes only," he said. "He hasn't been seen since." And she kind of looks at the stick. "The only ones who can open this, it's biocoded, are you." And that is where we will bring our session to a close.
We
Ship
go!
closes in.
Ah!
The ship
All right.
closes in on Pel Saros.
Esper Genesis.
It's biocoded because she stupid tried to hack it.
Also, I'm a traitor. No, she doesn't do any of that.
Spindra.
That son of a. This is good stuff. Yet all once across the galaxy, every Alfred is whistling. I'm never gonna love it. Here as I stand, I am whistling this song again. Anyway, man, what fun! I'm so glad we got back into this again. That we're back back on track, and we have multiple little things that can be checked, along with messages to reveal. And man, there was so much good stuff going on. Also with Alfred, there were a lot of funny moments. I loved the cookie baking sequence was great. I was just tremendous. Something about cookies and dust clouds only show up on Esper Genesis.
I
Let me
don't.
tell you.
God.
It was great. I was really enjoying it. The band did get back together. Yeah, that's right. So it was good to see. I will start, as usual, on the bottom right of this set of squares. I'll start with Zach. Zach, it was, I know you had to join us a little late, but it was great when you came in, and we were able to get some good stuff from Kaz. Kaz's unique kind of to the point, sort of slightly bemused by the universe personality, I think fits very nicely with a lot of what this crew gets up to, and it's a nice counterbalance against the sort of earnestness of Sleepwell and the kind of WTF stuff of Aramis, one way or the other, and then also Petra's, attempt to kind of, to the extent that she even accepts being a captain, lead this merry band, some way. And Kaz, you're all just kind of like cut through some of it and just like, well, we could do this, even if what you're doing, if people are like, wait, what? There's always kind of a directness that I like about Kaz. And it was interesting to see how Kaz is beginning to process, what the Bellari are about, connecting it maybe with his own experience with a long winter and these other things. So I've loved to see his development. How do you feel about today's session as we move forward into starting to close in here on the home stretch of Shadow of the Zephyr? How'd you feel about today? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I felt great. I'm very happy to be back in the swing of everything. I will say to sort of excite people for ArvCon and the new chapter of this story, that a lot of, as you're talking about Kaz and like how I play the character, there's a lot of Zach in Kaz. I mean, Kaz is just Zach backwards, but
I didn't realize flip tail. No, I'm just kidding. Your true name is Sutiram Zach.
So yeah, there's a lot of me in Kaz, and there's some moments where I feel like it's just Zach, but a star being. So what I'm excited for is I really want to try something vastly different. I mean, as if playing a star being isn't vastly different in and of itself, but I want to try something very different character-wise and personality-wise. So yeah, that'll be exciting for next time. And I love the idea of the relation between this campaign and the next. I mean, I have the stream open on my other monitor over here, and seeing that this is day 70 sessions, over a year's worth of sessions. I mean, obviously over a year's worth, but over 52.
Right.
So it's just great. So it's great to be here with all of you and to keep playing and see where everything goes. I'm excited to wrap up some stuff, and we're now in the stage where we're powerful enough and we've defeated like the long winter and all this stuff. Now these extra missions at the end are gonna be like the DLC. I don't know. That's how I think of it. It's gonna be fun.
DLC missions you can
yeah. And sometimes those are the funnest too.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Happy to be here, and it's great.
Where can the fine folks see you? I know you've been streaming a bunch on your channel for various things.
Yeah. I've started. I just started streaming again last week on my own channel, twitch.tv/ZachClay. I mostly, especially on the weekends, I'm known for streaming a small, but not so small, niche Minecraft role-playing server called Lord of the Craft. And I voice people's characters, and they play elves and dwarves and orcs, and because it's Minecraft, you build your nation and you role-play in it, and there's blocks and stuff. So that's fun. I do that, and the other thing I'll mention is I just started playing Mortal Shell, which is sort of a Dark Souls-like game.
I lurked a little bit in that channel. You were having fun with that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Lots of jokes about the mechanics in that game that you'll have to forgive me for if you saw. But yeah, it was fun. So that's what I'm up to. You can see me at my channel. And then, of course, back here for Esper Genesis or our vocalists, which I'm very excited to get back into as well.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And also occurs to me, now that I'm thinking about it, to make sure you check your Discord, Zach, about a message I sent you regarding something else. You may have seen it, but I was just letting you know. So
Yep. Thank you.
But thank you, Zach. Always a pleasure. It's great to have you back here. And Shadow, just before I go on to let Carlos talk a little bit about being here, I will mention that the announcement we made earlier tonight is that the Shadow of the Zephyr campaign, of which this is a part, will be wrapping up in ArvCon. ArvCon will be the triumphant finale. And then launching in June, we are going to be the, again, Pioneer/flagship campaign for the Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks campaign, which is the new one that was just kickstarted by Alligator Alley that made $60,000, over 700 backers.
Wow.
And I am very excited about it because, as Zach said, it connects this universe. So these characters will not continue as such, at least not immediately anyway, played by these folks. But, and this is, of course, assuming they make it all the way there, but assuming that they're around, their presence will be prominent. They will be a force within that world in some way. And the characters that they choose, which will be 2 fantastical characters and 2 science fiction characters, will meet early on in that new campaign and will move forward, and will also connect my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which is set on that same planet where this takes place. So it's exciting because it is more Esper Genesis, but it's Esper Genesis with this much different campaign and rules, not much different rule set, but different campaign with different classes and options, and yet sort of connecting these things together. And we've been playing for probably 3 to 4 years, I would say, Esper Genesis. And so Shadow of the Zephyr has been a great campaign that we'll be bringing to a close and leading up with this. So I am extremely excited about it. I've been talking with the Alligator Alley guys about it. I think Mysterious Peaks is going to be tremendous, actually. And I loved the Barrier Peaks module when I was younger, and this is the spiritual successor to that. So, yeah. And I won't have to be inventing the adventure sometimes literally the same day as they finish it and they're sending it on to me. So that'll be a new thing. February 2014, 2018. So yeah, it'll be 4 years in February. That we'll have been playing this. And that'll have been 4 with 3 of you. And then obviously Carlos joined a little later, but not that much later. Because
high school, like freshman to senior.
I know. It's wild.
Yeah, it's wild.
For me, only 2 years ago. No.
Yeah. That was before the pandemic, and those things were. But yeah, and so anyway, that was the announcement. So I'm very excited about that. But thank you, Zach. Really good stuff. Also, my friend, it was great to have you here in the room. It meant that we were able to do things like setting up.
That's
when
fun.
I went down to use the facilities during our break. Carlos had his computer open and was playing, like basically blasting Alfie, like so that he could get the lyrics down. He's like, I don't think we can play this on stream, right? I'm like, no. And he's like, can I sing it? I'm like, sure. So he's just singing it. And how suddenly we got into like somehow Burt Bacharach owes us royalties. I don't know how this works, but he pays. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, obviously, and it was great to have Sleepwell back and sort of connecting with. And you made a lot of like very. You've obviously had this relationship with Alfred, but this sort of direct connection. And there is a maturity that was not there with Sleepwell, but there's still hints of this sort of self-willed, I'm going to do what I damn well, like this is it, and like this is the way things are, but it's at a higher level of like, shut up, you can't make me. Like it's not that anymore, right? It's a different sort of level of stage.
He's evolved to a different level of punk at this point.
So I mean, I appreciated that, and I appreciated seeing the kind of stuff happening with Alfred. And everyone does have a decision to make about what they're going to do about that. That's another thing that's out there sitting in the ether. So I love question marks on a map that you have to decide. How did you feel about today's session?
It felt good to be back. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh, Johnny, I can just depend on you so much. Just like dive right in. It is so much fun to talk bullshit with you. This is so great. Oh my gosh. It was really satisfying to just get back into that mindset. I will say though, too, like, after, not quite 4 years for me, but like Zach, I'm also really looking forward to a totally different character and personality and, trying something out with that. So that's going to be great. That's going to be like a ton of fun. And I love Expedition to the Barrier Peak so much, and I cannot wait to get, basically my shark man to have a frickin' laser, and like however we blend fantasy and science fiction with that. So that's going to be super fun. Really enjoyed tonight. Everyone is so great. You're all such great role players. It was just such a pleasure to be a amongst you playing games, and it was, the best part of course
Ditto.
was just like looking at everything that Greg has planned for the next 3 months, and just memorizing it with my eidetic memory, and so
And then sending it to us.
He goes downstairs to the guest room, and I close Carlos' bullshit screen, So first we fight a big sea slug.
Wow.
And you're like, what? You're like,
That's
it's
conspiracy.
something about we fight Nubaka.
Yep.
I don't know who that is, but it's just like I don't think
That's some Disney level coverage right there. They do that.
And then you keep saying things, and you're like, I don't know. It said it was right there. They're like, you think he might be trolling? No, he wouldn't do.
No.
Well, maybe it was written in crayon, but whatever. Like, anyway.
It's the plot as Senevine writes it.
Yeah, exactly. So, Sigam?
Are we playing next week?
I think, is that what listed on the calendar? It could well be. I have no idea.
That's what
Let's
I saw.
find out by typing in calendar.
Calendar. And I was just thinking that given that we have 2 sessions a month
that is what it
roughly,
says.
if we're lucky, that we have about 10 sessions max left.
Yeah.
Yep.
Countdown has begun. So we're playing next week. So that's where you're gonna see me. Until then, you're gonna see nothing of me because I'm gonna have my head buried in my computer doing all sorts of projects that I need to get done before the beginning of the semester.
Good stuff. Thank you, Carlos. This is good. It is good.
It's great.
This is great stuff. And Carlos will
Also,
be with
your
us
dice
tomorrow.
Suck.
Yeah, listen, you talked to Rick Riordan about it, all right? Rick Riordan, sorry. I mean, listen. But thanks, Carlos. Always a pleasure. And it was also really a pleasure to have Kat back with us. And Kat's good to see you, and I'm glad that we're able to get back into this on this level. And Petra, of course, like I said, there's some loose ends for everybody that'll have to be tied up, including what will happen with Zora. Some of that might get tied up at once. Some of it may be over a couple of sessions. We'll see. And also your sort of final details about some of your origins, some of which you hope Tezora is going to be able to help answer as the link to that section. But other than that, I was just cookies. I was really, really loving the cookie idea about what kind to bake, and the sort of management of all of that was a lot of fun. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you?
I thought this was a blast, and we could have gone on for another hour, and I would have been probably pretty happy. It's always lots of fun. Where can you find me next? We're going to have to talk about next Friday, because I may not be here. I'm not sure what my Wi-Fi situation will be like. But I will be at the International Conference for the Fantastic in the Arts in Florida, I believe in March. We'll see.
Sounds like a place you should be at.
Yeah, it seems like a good place.
I was invited to that too, and exact same. I'm kind of like, maybe, like depending on where.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like I've got a live event that I'm supposed to do February 10th with here at Third Place Books, and they're like, "Will you come in for this live event?" I was like, "Sure," but who knows what will actually happen. So I will be virtual or live on February 10th, talking with Shawnee McGuire, which will be fun.
Nice. Good stuff. Thank you, Kat. Which Third Place Books? Is it the one in Lake Forest Park, or is it the?
Yes, Lake Forest Park.
That's actually right across the street from where my father-in-law lives, by the way. Like, he
oh,
lives in the
neat!
road. Yeah. So I go to Third Place Books all the time. That whole little mall area is really cool. So anyway. But good stuff. Thank you, Kat. Great pleasure. And no hammer swinging today, but there will be more in the future, no doubt. And last but certainly not least, Johnny, it was also really good to see you, especially given, as you talked about what you've been through with everything. And I don't know how you felt. You could be that you super bluffed and faked your way through it, but it's also possible maybe that, as you had told me, getting a chance to get your mind off of the world of, recovering from COVID and all that stuff, that maybe it was nice to get back into space again. I don't know, but it certainly felt like you were back in the saddle. I don't know, when you and Sleepo were starting to have your, disagreement again, there was a little smile that Kat, Zach, and I all had a little bit, because it just felt like slipping on a nice little comfortable blanket, and you're just like, mommy and daddy are fighting again, But what I loved about that, though, was also that it is different. It's not the same beat every time. It has shifted and changed, and there's a mutual respect, but still kind of a frustration about some of the difficulty, differences of personalities. especially when you're flipping and you sort of talking about, listen, I'm arguing to you, and Sleepwell's like, this guy always flips on me. But that's also reflective of Aramis becoming, less of a stick in the mud, while Sleepwell is also hopefully maturing. So it's funny to see the ships kind of, pass one way or the other. And your both of yours, you and Carlos both, interrogation there of what was going on with Alfred was subtle and interesting, I think, and just a great visual for me to imagine as you were going through it. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Well, I'll start by saying thank you again, Carlos. You are an absolute pleasure to argue with in a game. It's actually one of the aspects that I think I'm really going to miss the most about this story ending is that particular dynamic, and I'm looking forward to how the group finds a different dynamic in that way. But I think those types of things are really critical to storytelling. I am going to miss that. So, otherwise, today was great. Had a good time. The energy level was there. I got really engaged, and now I'm starting to pay for it as I feel really. I feel like a battery that needs to recharge really badly right now. But things are good, and the next place you'll probably see me here is next week. So I had a great time. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon.
Good stuff. Thank you so much for being amazing players. So happy to have this crew back, and I'm so excited that they will be staying together after this closing. I like the idea that we have a period coming to the end of the sentence, or maybe a semicolon, let's call it, and then we're moving on to this new world that is both new and similar, and I think that'll be great for the Esper Genesis fans and the crew. And Chad, I'm just going to ask you again, please spread the word about this show. I love all the campaigns for different reasons. I really love the chemistry of this group and the wonderful stories they've been able to tell. It feels like a galactic space opera story, and those are very, very enjoyable, and that's due to the quality of the players. So I want to thank again Johnny, I want to thank Carlos, want to thank Kat, want to thank Zach. We will see, hopefully Wi-Fi will hold out, we'll see Kat too, but we'll see everybody, hopefully most of them next week. And Chad, can we get some love for the players? Thank you, players, so much.
Love for Greg. You feel our hug through Carlos.
This is what I usually feel all the time.
And I would just like to canonically establish, because you said earlier that when Aramis and Sleepwell fight, it's like, oh, mommy and daddy are fighting again. I'd like to canonically establish that Aramis is the dad and Sleepwell is the mom. Okay. That's all.
Wait a minute, what?
So noted.
I mean, isn't it obvious? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. Carlos, how do you feel about that?
I mean, or you guys could both be dads.
I mean, in his space.
It's fine if everyone wants to be.
Our crew could have two dads. It's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Okay, chat.
See you lovely folks soon. Bye for now, everybody. So, I want to thank everyone for having been awesome tonight. It was such a pleasure to get back into this. Schedule-wise, we do, of course, have Esper Genesis next weekend. Now, I don't know yet exactly what's happening. Partially, it's going to depend on this gentleman and his wife's plans. If it turns out that they're going to be staying with us up until Sunday morning early, which is possible, then we might actually stream something Saturday night. That's possible. If, on the other hand, we don't do that and they end up leaving earlier than that and they leave sometime on Saturday, then I might stream some Golden Sun tomorrow night. So it's going to be a little bit dependent on how that all works out. But then after that, I can tell you we'll start getting into what happens next week. Those of you who probably saw the announcement about Free League picking up sponsorship for our Middle-earth campaign. That's going to be happening in May when they launch that. But in the meantime, you can see the second session of Adventures in Middle-earth, which is going to be coming up on Tuesday. I know Community D&D is going to be getting started hopefully by the end of the month, again on Wednesdays with the Shadow Crew. We've also got another Eberron session that we're going to be getting in there as well. Plus, of course, D&D D&D with GOG, Ghosts of Saltmarsh at least coming up on GOG, and stuff like that. So we've got those things happening, and I think we have the Orvoculus happening next Tuesday as well. If you like what you saw and heard, please make sure to follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCore, Twitter with !ArvTweets, our website, which is arvanelaron.com. On the financial side, !Arv Shop for the merchandise area, Arv Treon for the Patreon, and of course, supporting us by subscribing to the channel is always appreciated. Thank you to all those who did that today. A number of you subscribed and resubs, so thank you so much for that. And if you haven't already done so, please consider as well supporting the publishing stuff, Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts, Library for Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley, a library which is set in the same world as Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. And if you haven't already done so, please consider as well checking out my Greyshade Kickstarter, about which more details soon. Greyshade, the novel, will be published May 31st. The Kickstarter happening later that year, presumably in the summer, but that is to be confirmed. Greyshade KS. And as always, BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. And Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help, and to reach out to others when they need help as well. No raid today because I'm going to make sure that I, make sure that Carlos is all set up and all, since they are actually physically staying at my place. But I do want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream tonight. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Arudnell, Dragonspear, Rock God, Shadow Mage, and Trifity Mats, the best mods in the business, as I always say. Thank you to my subscribers and Patreon supporters, Arudnell, Dragon, Rock God, Shadow Mage, Trifity Mats, Crit Twitch, Mrs. Dunsel, Prince Justin. Thank you so much, and thank you as well to my regular viewers, to Cat Rambo, to DM Chromie, to Gigafrost, Harlequin, Lana Ray. Thank you to Mogadal, to Marinda. Thank you to Skypuff, Video Store Cowboy, and Zach Clay. And most of all tonight, thank you so much to my wonderful players, to Carlos Hernandez, to Zach Clay, to Johnny Pittman, and to Cat Rambo, and to our official sponsors, Alligator Alley, for making this possible. And yes, there is voting going on. You can check that out on Next Game. That's going to be closing up on Tuesday. The link is right here. That's the link. And right now, the 3 games that are up on the docket are Fey Tactics, Lost in Random, and the Council. Right now, Lost in Random is slightly ahead of Fey Tactics and the Council, but we will be closing that down on Tuesday, so you have until Tuesday to get that done. That's going to do it for me. Much love to all of you wonderful folks, and I will see all of you back here tomorrow night for something, streaming with or without Carlos and Claire, and I think that will be it. Say goodbye, everybody. Bye for now, people.
When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Heart, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the Crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.